Yeah, good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Thank you for the super chat. I'll read it in its entirety when the show starts, but I'm going to have to look that up. I haven't heard that conspiracy theory about the, what'd you say, electrical substations? I haven't heard that one, but there is no conspiracy theory that surprises me. Everything that happens now, there is a group of people that believe it's some sort of conspiracy behind it. It doesn't matter what it is. The kidnapping of that poor lady in Arizona, that old woman, the Today's Show's anchor's mom or whatever. Reading some of the stuff that people say about that pisses me off. I just, some people's brains have zero wrinkles in them. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. We're going to start the show here in just a few minutes. Uncle Lou After Dark. Happy Thursday. Waffle, I know you're mentally retarded because you've been around here a long time and you've been mentally retarded the entire time. But that's not the way things work. See, when you make a claim, you provide the proof. So as far as conspiracy, you don't disprove something. You fucking moron. Retard level 1 million. Yeah, good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. That's right. It is me, Uncle Lou, live on YouTube for you. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also, in addition to that as well. Yeah, if you're one of these dummies that sweeps the floor with your bottom lip, you know, the earth is flat or chemtrails or whatever, and I say that's retarded, it's not on me to prove that those things aren't real, dummy. That's not how it works, bud. Now, like I said, you've been mentally retarded for a long fucking time. The only place you're dumber than you are here is on Twitter. You're especially stupid over there, but you're stupid in general. That's been known for a while. Now, how about you disprove that, bud? Since you want people to disprove things, how about you disprove that your IQ is room temperature, you fucking nitwitted motherfucker? How about you do that for me? Well, Team USA men's hockey team beat the soul and will to live out of Latvia today. That was no surprise to me. Latvia's dog shit. Latvia's dog shit. So USA 1-0 in the Olympics. They play again on Saturday. So I'll be tuned back in again with my Team USA hockey jersey on, helping Team USA fight the good fight over there in Milan and Cortina, Italy, for the Olympics. Yeah, because I'm American, and that's what Americans do. Yeah, that's what Americans do. Let me catch these super chats here at the start of the show, and then we will get into the program. James Cooper, thank you for hitting the super chat. He said, Lou, with all the talk about the electrical substation in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl, what are some of your favorite or stupidest, funniest football conspiracies you've heard over the years? Of course, there's the thing where whoever's good is cheating. The team is irrelevant. You know, Alabama was cheating from 2008 to 2020. Then all of a sudden they stopped cheating, I guess, because they didn't win any natties after that. Michigan, of course, was cheating. Ohio State cheated. They bought their entire roster. I guess Georgia was cheating in 21 and 22, but wasn't cheating from 1981 through 2020. So whoever's good in football is always cheating. The SEC office is in bed with Alabama. That's my favorite one. You know, every time you watch an Alabama game and they throw a penalty on the other team, it's, oh, well, there you go. You know, they cashed the check, or the SEC office, or this or that. What other conspiracy theories are out there? They usually involve the referees or somebody cheating. That's usually the conspiracies in college football. Now, terrible teams never get accused of cheating. Now, sometimes terrible teams actually get caught cheating, like Tennessee or Ole Miss under Hugh Freeze. But, you know, just winning doesn't equal cheating. But you know how the internet is. Yeah, you know how the internet is. I don't know. I don't know what the electrical substation conspiracy theory is as it relates to the Super Bowl. I have no idea. I haven't heard that one, so I can't comment on that. Cheesy Gordita Crunch. Thank you for the super chat. Very generous. That means a lot, especially this time of year. It's hard out here in these YouTube streets for college football this time of year. So I really do appreciate you guys helping to support the show with the super chats. That really means a lot, all kidding aside. But Cheesy Gordita Crunch says, I'm not going to lie, Nate the Great needs to lay off the Taco Bell routine and start to eat real food. Nate, do you hear me? Hello? You're getting called out by a food item from Taco Bell. Nate, down bad. Yeah, now I'm not going to say that people should never eat Taco Bell. I don't ever eat it. I ate it when I was younger. The thought of eating anything from Taco Bell right now makes my stomach turn. But I would never tell anybody, I guess, not to eat anything ever. But it is some of the times in which Nate chooses to eat Taco Bell is completely fucking ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. There was the time 2 or 3 years ago at the Slob Olympics in Charleston, or Isle of Palms, right outside of Charleston. We got done with the Slob Olympics, and it just so happened that the day we were there, they had this giant street festival there right in front of our hotel. The whole street was shut down. They had a parade and marching bands and whole deal. And part of the shit they had going on, they had various food trucks right there in front of the hotel. And one of the food trucks they had was one of these authentic Mexican street taco trucks. So we all said, well, hey, that sounds great. We'll go get us some tacos from this taco truck. So we all go, we get our food, we go back up to the thing to eat. All of a sudden, we're looking around like, where's Nate? I don't know. I don't know. Nate comes tropsing up the stairs a couple of minutes later with a big-ass bag of Taco Bell in his hand. That dummy done Ubered Taco Bell and had it delivered to the Mexican food truck. I said, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I told the story the other day about him eating Taco Bell in Vegas. Why anybody would do... We were staying at Planet Hollywood. There are 3 Mexican restaurants. Well, there's 2 Mexican restaurants in Planet Hollywood, and there's one literally 5 steps away from Planet Hollywood. You don't even have to go outside to get to it. It's connected through an indoor mall. 3 Mexican restaurants. This guy walks half a block to order a bunch of damn Taco Bell. It doesn't make any sense. That's the issue. So it's certain times in which he's choosing to eat the Taco Bell, which is the problem. If, you know, on some random Tuesday afternoon, you're sitting at home by yourself and you're hungry and you don't feel like eating a Wish sandwich and you decide to DoorDash you some Taco Bell, far be it for me to stand in your way to do that. It's your money. You're free to waste it any way you choose, I guess. But those 2 instances there where you had a authentic Mexican street taco truck right there and you DoorDash Taco Bell from 5 miles away, or being in Vegas at Planet Hollywood surrounded by 3 really good Mexican restaurants and you decide to walk half a block to get Taco Bell to go and then bring it back to Planet Hollywood to eat it, that's dumb. So to me, that's the issue. You know, that's the issue to me with Nate and that. John Dickens, thank you for the super chat. Says, Michigan cheated and Michigan sure as hell lied about their weather this week. Well, yeah, it's different when something gets proven. But when the only evidence you have of someone cheating is they won, that's not cheating. Somebody has to win every year. And I haven't necessarily heard the word cheating thrown around about Indiana, but it's the same idea. People try to discredit everyone's national title. So when people try to discredit Indiana's national title, they go, well, everybody on their team was 24. Everybody on their team was 24. Your coach could have built a roster of 24-year-olds if he wanted to. He chose not to. Everybody has the same options of getting players out of the portal and shit and utilizing extra years of eligibility because of COVID and all that. You could have had 5th and 6th. Your coach could have done the same thing. Like, that's not cheating. You know? So I don't know. It's weird. But Michigan did cheat. We all saw it with our own eyes. I mean, yeah, Michigan cheated. So, I mean, it is what it is. Now, they're the national champion. No one's taking their trophy away, but I'm pretty sure 20 years from now, when people talk about Michigan's national title in 2023, they're going to say, oh, yeah, that was the Connor Stallions deal. Like, it's just not going away. Just like when people talk about Southern Cal in 2004 and 2005, they talk about Reggie Bush and losing the Heisman and housing for his parents. And I mean, it doesn't have to bother you if you don't let it. If you're a Michigan fan, you can just let it sort of in one ear and out the other. But like, people are going to talk about that because it happened. So, I mean, that's just kind of what it is with that. Yeah, that's just kind of what it is with that there. Coming up on the show tonight, of course, we will get to the phone calls here in about 30 or 45 minutes. But first, I do have some things I need to get off my chest. The Trinidad Chamblas situation, it appears, has been resolved. And to no one's surprise, a judge in Oxford, Mississippi, who attended Ole Miss, has ruled in Trinidad Chamblas's favor. He can play college football as long as he wants to. So we'll talk about that. And we're going to look at another couple of schedules, too. I had a couple of people in the comments ask for Georgia Tech. So we're going to take a look at Georgia Tech's schedule today. I'll give you my sort of initial thoughts on them way early in the offseason. No record predictions, anything like that. Just sort of, base level thoughts on Georgia Tech heading into next year, and we'll look at their schedule. We'll do that with them and Florida State. Georgia Tech and Florida State. I don't expect much from Florida State. Does anybody? I don't even think Florida State fans expect much from Florida State. They're in give-up mode. I mean, they kept their head coach because couldn't afford to fire him. The guy's terrible, 4 losing seasons in 6 years. So we'll take a look at Georgia Tech and Florida State's schedule. But we'll start with the breaking news from a few hours ago involving our good buddy Trinidad Chamblas. Ballard says McElroy says SC is a sleeper pick for this year in college football. Haven't we heard that before? Also excited for Nashville, Lou. Talking about Southern Cal, I would assume. I think Southern Cal will be good. I don't know if they'll be good enough to make the playoffs, and I still don't trust the Lincoln Riley defense. But I mean, their offense is going to be really good. But it always is. So I don't know how surprising they will be. I mean, they're one of those teams that we talked about this a week ago or 2 weeks ago. There's some teams that have just done things so similarly for so long that you almost just blindly put your faith that they'll do it again. Sometimes it's being real good. Sometimes like it or not, people like to complain about these preseason polls. Oh, these teams always get the benefit of the doubt or blah, 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 blah. Well, Ohio State gets the benefit of the doubt every year in the preseason rankings because they haven't lost more than 2 games in 15 years. Georgia gets the benefit of the doubt in the preseason rankings every year because they've won 2 of the last 5 national titles. They've won 2 SEC titles in a row. They're the winningest team of the 2020s. They recruit in the top 5 every single year. Their coaching staff remains intact. So there's sort of some good, like, baked in bias that you associate with some teams, and then there's some bad baked in bias you associate with some teams too. And in the case of Southern Cal, or more specifically Lincoln Riley, it's just, okay, this guy's been a Power 4 coach for 10 years at 2 different blue blood programs, Oklahoma and Southern Cal, and it's pretty much the same team on the field every single year. A high-level offense with a Heisman caliber QB and a defense that can't stop a nosebleed. That's sort of the Lincoln Riley. I mean, that's what we've seen from Lincoln Riley for 10 years in a row. Should I expect something different this year? No, I don't. Could we get something different this year? Yeah. This could be the year that Lincoln Riley finally puts it together on the defensive side of the ball and figures out a way to win 10 or 11 games and get back into the playoffs. But I'm not going to expect that until I see it. So it works both ways. Sometimes the sort of baked in bias benefits you. Sometimes it hurts you. So anyway, that's that on that in that. All right. I want to talk about Trinidad Chamblas. So you probably already heard, but earlier today, a friendly judge in Oxford who attended Ole Miss ruled in favor of Trinidad Chamblas, and he gets to play football until he just doesn't want to play anymore, basically. I mean, I guess it's a 1-year deal, but what's to stop him from doing it again next year? Nothing. If he, so just to sort of recap here, Trinidad Chamblas has been in college forever. He's used up all of his eligibility. He decides he doesn't want to go to the NFL. He wants to stay in college and play for Ole Miss again because they've offered him $5 million to do it, but he's out of eligibility. So what does he do? There's a handful of ways you can get extra years of eligibility. handful of ways. You, of course, get a redshirt year. Everybody gets a redshirt year. So the sort of basic structure of college football is you get 5 years to play 4. And one year can be a redshirt and you can play 4 years. There are ways to get a 6th year. If you take a traditional redshirt and then later you break your leg in week 3 and you can't play the rest of the season, you can apply for a medical redshirt. And that gives you then an additional year of eligibility. Going back to COVID in 2020, anybody that was enrolled in school in 2020 or who was being recruited in 2020 was given an extra year of COVID eligibility. So there's always been different ways to get an extra year of eligibility added on at the end of your sort of college career. It's just been over the last few years where people have really started pushing the limits on this, pushing the envelope, testing how far they can go, things like that. And to sort of summarize what happened with Trinidad Chamblas, he's decided he wants to play another year of college football. He's out of eligibility. So he tells the NCAA, hey, 3 years ago, after I redshirted the year before, I had my tonsils removed and couldn't play all year. So I need a medical redshirt for that year. Now, he didn't request the medical redshirt 3 years ago when he had his tonsils removed. He didn't request the medical redshirt during the season 3 years ago when he realized he'd be out the whole year. He didn't request a medical redshirt after that season ended. He didn't request a medical redshirt when he transferred to Ole Miss. And he didn't request a medical redshirt at any point during the season last year. But when the season ended, and he looked at his draft grade, and he looked at the amount of money Ole Miss was offering him, he decided he wanted a medical redshirt from 3 years ago because he had his tonsils removed. People have their tonsils removed and go to school the next day. People have their tonsils removed and go to work the next day. Worst case scenario, maybe you're out 7 to 10 days football wise. Like maybe your mouth is sore and you can't have you're in a non-contact jersey or something. You don't want to get hit 2 or 3 days after you had your tonsils, whatever it is. But anyway, so he appealed to the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility based on the fact that he had his tonsils removed 3 years ago. And I'm assuming the NCAA laughed him out of the room. And then he couldn't provide the proper medical documentation, and there was a whole thing with that. So anyway, his appeal got denied, or his request got denied. He then appealed the NCAA decision. The NCAA rejected him again. So he hired a lawyer and filed suit in Oxford, Mississippi, found a judge that graduated from Ole Miss, sued the NCAA, and won because he got his tonsils removed. I got my balls cut off after my second kid was born and was at work 2 days later. I don't want to hear shit about Trinidad Chamblas' tonsils. Okay? I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. It's so obvious what is happening and what he's doing. There are legitimate reasons to give a player a medical red shirt. This isn't one of them. Like, the NCAA was correct, I think, to deny Trinidad Chamblas's request for an extra year due to a medical red shirt from 3 years ago for getting his tonsils removed. That's my opinion. I think the NCAA did the right thing. But like has been the case in a lot of other instances in college football, these players, these schools, these lawyers, they find a friendly courtroom in their hometown with a friendly judge, they sue, and they get their way. My problem isn't specifically with Ole Miss or Trinidad Chamblas, because he's not the first one to do this and he won't be the last. We've talked about this on this channel for the last 2 or 3 years, but the majority of the changes in college football that have happened over the last 2 or 3 years that most of you hate are the result of players or schools filing lawsuits against the NCAA and winning. It's easy to get mad at the NCAA, blame the NCAA, and I see people on Twitter, oh, the NCAA's at it again. What do you want the NCAA to do? The NCAA told him no. The NCAA can't override a judge's order. Like, The NCAA told them no. I don't know what else you want the NCAA to do. If the judge says no to the NCAA, there's nothing the NCAA can do. And so my issue is not specifically with Trinidad Chamblas or specifically with Ole Miss. It just happens to be, in this instance, that's the news. It's Ole Miss and Trinidad Chamblas. Next month, it's going to be Joey Aguilar in Tennessee because they're doing the same thing in a different way. They're not, it has nothing to do with a medical red shirt. They're arguing a different ridiculous fucking point, which is that junior college isn't really college. Just give me a fucking break. Just give me a fucking break. Junior college isn't really college. Yes, it is. So Tennessee is going to sue to get Joey Aguilar an 8th year. Trinidad Chamblas is suing to get a 6th year. Joey Aguilar and Tennessee are going to sue to get an 8th year. So like we can come down on Ole Miss and Trinidad Chamblas today because that's what's in the news today. But this is a much bigger issue. I don't know. You know, people say NCAA needs to do something. There's nothing the NCAA can do. The NCAA can have all the rules they want. If someone sues and wins, an NCAA rule cannot override a judge's order. That's why we have NIL. That's why we have transfer portal. That's why all of these things have happened, because as a direct result of lawsuits and judges' orders. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the fix is beyond what I've already said 100 times before would be a fix to all of the other problems, which is you're going to have to just make these people employees. That's the only way you're going to get judges to agree that they have to abide by any rules at all. Short of them becoming employees, these judges are going to continue to rule on the side of the players in the schools. They're just not going to let the NCAA enforce any rules. And you cannot have a league if you don't have rules. It's that simple. You don't have a league. You don't even really have a sport. Everybody's operating under different rules based on what the judges in their state said. Just today, the Georgia legislature has made it legal now where you can pay high school players NIL money. And we all know that's just a front to allow Georgia and Georgia Tech to pay high school players when they're in 11th grade, so they'll agree to commit to them 2 years later. That's all that is. It's not because Coke wants to put some high school player in a commercial somewhere. Coke is not going to put Coke is not about to pay some high school quarterback in Duluth $1 million to put him in a commercial. Now, I mean, that's what the bill says. Oh, yeah, high school athletes are eligible for NIL now. Yeah, great. That's not what that means. What that means is Georgia and Georgia Tech can pay them when they're in 10th grade. That's what it means, and that's dumb too. But none of this is going to stop until these players become employees. There's just nothing else that's going to stop it. Nothing else is going to stop it. So we can continue to get mad at the NCAA. I don't know what else you want the NCAA to do. The NCAA tells the player no on whatever it is, transferring. No, you can't have an NIL deal. No, you can't get paid. No, you can't have a 6th, 7th, or 8th year of eligibility. The NCAA keeps telling them no, 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 no. And then they sue, and a friendly judge rules on the player and the school side, and there's nothing the NCAA can do. So their hands are tied until and unless these players become employees. I don't know what else is going to fix any of these problems, including this one with Trinidad Chamblas and Ole Miss. And, you know, Ole Miss fans are mad at me on Twitter because, oh, you're talking about Trinidad Chamblas, but you're not talking about, didn't they name some random guy that got a 9th year or whatever the fuck? Look, Trinidad Chamblas is in the news today. A month from now, I'll be on here doing this same song and dance about Joey Aguilar. And this ain't Tennessee's first rodeo, by the way, when it comes to suing its way around rules. Let's not forget that Tennessee is the reason why the NCAA cannot enforce any NIL rules or penalties. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that. The NCAA opened an investigation into Tennessee in 21 or 22 about illegal NIL funds as it related to the recruitment of Nico. And what did Tennessee do? Did they argue their case in front of the NCAA? No. No. They went to a judge in Knoxville, admitted that they did what the NCAA accused them of doing, which was clearly against the rules, but then made the argument that the NCAA doesn't have the right to enforce those rules against them. And guess what the judge said? That sound right. That sound right. And now that's when NIL became wide open, wild, wild west that you see now. So like, this isn't anything new. It's a different issue, but it's the same root cause. A player or a school doesn't get their way when it comes to the NCAA. So they just find a friendly judge, sue, and do whatever they want to do. And it's that simple. It's that simple. There's nothing stopping now any team in the country from giving a player a 60 year of eligibility and then claiming that he had his tonsils removed. What really happened with Trinidad Chamblas, you all know the story of Trinidad Chamblas, right? He's an amazing quarterback now, today, okay? 6 years ago, he was dog shit, which is why nobody wanted him. Nobody recruited him. He ended up at a nothing school in the middle of Detroit somewhere and redshirted. Second year, not good. He wasn't good enough to play. Now, him not being good enough to play 4 years ago is not an insult to him today. He's a great quarterback today. Look, Stetson Bennett was dog shit in 17, 18, and 19. He ended up winning 2 natties. So, like, but he was dog shit, okay? He redshirted because he wasn't good enough to play his first year. And then his second year, he just wasn't good enough to play, so he didn't play. And now they're going back and saying in that second year where he wasn't good enough to play, he got his tonsils out. So he needs a medical red shirt. For your tonsils out? Come on, man. What are we doing? You got to be kidding me, man. What's next? You hit your funny bone? I wasn't good enough to play my second year, but in week 2, I hit my funny bone walking into fucking English 1101. I need a medical red shirt. What are we doing? Your tonsils, dude? Come on, man. Come on. I saw somebody in the comments at the start of the show that said they got their tonsils removed when they were 10 years old. They played rec football the next week. Yeah, look, getting your tonsils removed. Come on, man. What are you doing? You're not missing no time. Tonsils? You want an entire year's medical red shirt because you had your tonsils removed. What are we doing? I'm serious. And look, the Ole Miss fans are like, well, you're being hypocritical because you're not calling out this player. No, you're being hypocritical. These are the same Ole Miss fans, by the way. The same Ole Miss fans, by the way, that have been bitching and moaning for the last 3 weeks and are going to continue to bitch and moan for the next 3 months about the NCAA not enforcing its tampering rules or whatever with this investigation they're doing in Ole Miss. But now the eligibility rules don't matter. Come on, man. Ole Miss fans want the NCAA to fucking set up shop in Baton Rouge because Lane Kiffin tampered with an Ole Miss. Why are those rules important, but the eligibility rules somehow no big deal? Shut up, man. Tonsillitis? Come on, man. And let's give some credit, by the way, to this judge in Alabama who finally ruled against this NBA player who kept suiting up for Alabama in basketball. That was the most ridiculous. That's the most ridiculous case I've seen. And the Alabama coach is still running around defending it. This guy was in the NBA for 3 fucking years. The guy was in the NBA for 3 goddamn years. Shows back up in Tuscaloosa because he washed out of the NBA. He still had a year of eligibility left, shows back up. And the Alabama coach is like, hey, I mean, he moved back to Tuscaloosa and just happened to enroll in classes, and we just happened to have a roster spot available. So, I mean, we were like, yeah, come on. Thank God they found a judge with some sense down there that finally looked at that and went, what are we doing here? What are we doing? No, this guy can't play basketball for Alabama. He was in the NBA for 3 years. But those judges are few and far between. Most of these judges, they're hometown guys. They're probably boosters and donors. In the Trinidad Chamblas case, the judge fucking got his law degree from Ole Miss. What a shock he sided with Trinidad Chamblas. I can't believe it. Of course he did. There's a reason we have eligibility rules. There's a reason you have 5 years to play 4 or 6 years to play 4. And here's the other thing. This is going to end up biting college football in the fucking ass in a really bad way. Do you know why a player has to be 3 years removed from high school before he's eligible for the NFL draft? Does anybody know why? That's not a law. There's no law that says you can't play in the NFL until you've been 3 years removed from. There's no law that says that. That's an NFL rule. That's not a college rule. It's not a law. It's an NFL rule. You must be 3 years removed from high school before you are draft eligible. But do you know why they have that rule? Because according to the NFL, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds are not physically capable of playing with 23, 24, 25, and 26-year-olds. It's too dangerous. That's what the NFL says. Well, now the NFL is looking at college football and they're going, well, wait a minute. Half of college football is 25 years old. I guess it's not that dangerous. Maybe we'll get rid of that rule. And then you know what's going to happen? NFL teams are going to start drafting Jeremiah Smith out of high school. They're going to draft Caleb Downs out of high school. You know some dumbass NFL team would have drafted Arch Manning out of high school just based off hype alone. And it's going to turn into baseball. College football is going to turn into college baseball, which nobody watches. You know why? Because all the best baseball players are in the fucking major leagues. They're not, the college baseball is full of people who weren't good enough to play in the majors. It's not good baseball. Hell, they play with the same bats that little leaguers use. So that's what's going to end up happening. The NFL is going to go, wait a minute. You mean to tell me all these years we've been waiting till a player was 3 years out of high school before we drafted them because we thought it wasn't safe for them to play with grown men. But now there's 25 and 26-year-olds all over college football. So they're already playing with grown men. We might as well do away with that rule and let these NFL teams start drafting high schoolers now. If you think college football is bad now, and it is bad, what I mean by bad now is the quality of football, the quality of college football is not what it was 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. It's not, because these players are moving around constantly. You're not learning a system. You're not developing in a system for 2 or 3 or 4 years. You're fucking going somewhere. I don't get enough money, or I don't get my way, or I don't get to play enough, or I don't like the size of the coach's feet, whatever it is. And you fucking pack up your duffel bag and you ship the fuck out to some other school where you're learning a whole new offense under a whole new set of coaches. That's why football doesn't look as good when you watch it on TV today as it used to. But anyway, I went off on a tangent there. Let's just move on. Let's just move on. James Cooper, thank you again for the super chat. He says, I need a medical red shirt. My dad's brother's ex-wife's dog's second cousin stubbed his 6th toe on February 32nd, 1962. Hey, look, the Honorable Judge Lou hereby grants you unlimited eligibility, bud. Congratulations. You're the new Trinidad Chamblas and Joey Aguilar. You can play forever, bud. You can play forever on account of that stubbed toe, my guy. King Season, thank you for the super chat. Picture going around on X of Chamblas signing a football today in the courthouse for the judge. Gotta love to buy. Yeah, I saw that too. Signing autographs in the goddamn courthouse. The whole thing was a farce. We all knew what was going to happen before it happened. And the Ole Miss fans, they're pissed off at me on Twitter. If you're watching now, you can be pissed off at me. Well, I don't have anything against Look, Ole Miss had a great year last year. I'm happy for them. Hell, I told you a million times in the playoffs, I was pulling for Ole Miss.
I hated that Georgia had to play them because I didn't want to have to root against Ole Miss. I hated what happened to him. I thought it was dirty how Lane Kiffin left there. It was a great story. I like the Trinidad Chamblas story. Talked about it all year. Lane goes out and finds this guy in the middle of nowhere at some D2 college, brings him in. He's not even the starter. Starter gets hurt, and all of a sudden, this guy's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. It was a great fucking story. Nothing I'm saying is really directed solely at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is just what happened today. It's going to happen with Joey Aguilar in a couple of weeks. It's happened with other players. It's going to happen with other players. It's not an Ole Miss issue or a Trinidad Chamblas issue. It's a college football issue. It's just that right now the story revolves around Ole Miss because Trinidad Chamblas is a high-profile player who got denied twice by the NCAA for an extra year of eligibility and sued and won, and that got announced today. So it's newsworthy today. But it's not, my issue is not directly with Ole Miss. For all I know, Georgia would do the same damn thing in the same circumstances. Now, here's the difference. I wouldn't be on here defending it. I would not be on here defending it. All right? I have this rare ability to criticize my own team that a lot of people have an aversion to. Okay? Believe me, there's nobody harder on Georgia than Uncle Lou. If you go back and watch videos from 7, 8, 9 years ago, I was losing my fucking mind every single Saturday, year after year, on this channel because Georgia was dog shit. When Todd Gurley got suspended for signing 100 autographs in the back seat of a car, you know what I said? He knew the fucking rules. He knew the fucking rules, and he did it anyway. Doesn't matter if he didn't like the rule. Doesn't matter if it shouldn't have been a rule. That's not the point of rules. You don't only get to obey the rules you agree with. We all have been in school or had jobs or grew up in a household that had rules. We didn't have to. What your parents used to always tell you all the time? You don't have to like the rules, but you damn sure gonna follow them. Todd Gurley knew the rules. He broke the rules. He deserved the suspension. I'm on video saying it. Okay? I don't sugarcoat things just because Georgia were to get involved with it. And Ole Miss fans shouldn't either. And if this was happening somewhere else, the same Ole Miss fans that are defending this would be clowning the school and the player if it was happening somewhere else. It's not good for college football. It's not good for college football. If there's an eligibility window, it needs to be known and set in stone, and it needs to apply across the board. Now, there are outlying circumstances. There are legitimate medical red shirts. That's why that process exists. Tonsillitis is not reason for a medical red shirt, and that's why he got denied. Getting your tonsils removed does not prevent you from playing football for an entire year. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. We all know either you've had your tonsils removed or you know somebody that has. How long were they down? A day? 2? I had a vasectomy and was at work the next day. And the Joey Aguilar one is worse. And I'm not going to get into that now because we'll yell and bitch and moan and cry and complain and pout and stomp our feet about that in 2, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it is, when some Knoxville judge tells Joey Aguilar that he can have never-ending eligibility. But Trinidad Chamblas has been in college for 6 years. Joey Aguilar is suing for an 8th fucking year. 8. I got to move on for real now. I be done wasted this whole show with this shit here. Don't make no sense, man. Don't make no sense. Speaking of things that don't make any sense, does anybody feel a little bit sorry for Georgia Tech fans? I'm not going to lie, I do. And I know Georgia and Georgia Tech are supposed to be bitter rivals, I guess. It's hard to get that. I mean, they play every year. Georgia's like 23-3 against them in the last 26 years. It's like getting up in the morning. Beating Georgia Tech is just something you do. Like, it's not, so, but like, they did have a good year last year. I thought they were a pretty good team. 2 years ago was that crazy 8 overtime game with Georgia for them at the end of the year. And honestly, I thought they should have won that game. Buster Faulkner blew it, by the way. I don't understand the hype about. I'll say this to Georgia Tech fans. I wouldn't be worried about losing Buster Faulkner. I don't know what the infatuation is that people have with this guy. And a lot of Georgia fans are in love with Buster Faulkner too, by the way. I don't know what y'all see. The guy had Haynes King at Georgia Tech for 2 years and ran 35 different variations of a quarterback draw and counter and shit. I don't know what the infatuation is with Buster Faulkner. So I wouldn't be worried if I was a Georgia Tech fan about losing him. But anyway, Georgia Tech was pretty good last year. Some playoff talk around Georgia Tech late in the season. Of course, it got away from them in the month of November with a couple of bad losses. But anyway, they overall, compared to where Georgia Tech has been in most years during the playoff era, going all the way back to the 14 playoff, Georgia Tech had a pretty good year last year. And they appeared under Brent Key, who's been there now 3 or 4 years. They've sort of been inching in the right direction, because he inherited just a complete mess and dumpster fire of a team. I mean, it just is what it is. They had given up, really, not just on football, but on athletics in general at Georgia Tech prior to him getting there. And there's been a little bit of a resurgence there, at least in terms of like financial support, both from fans and internally at Georgia Tech. They fielded a better product football wise. The fans are more engaged. And I thought last year they were a legitimately good team. Were they great? No, they're far from great. But I thought they were a good team, especially, like I said, relative to what they have been for the majority of the years. But then they just lose so much off of that team from last year. And then they lose the offensive coordinator, which again, I don't consider. I'm in the minority when it comes to Buster Faulkner, and I'm willing to admit I might be completely wrong about Buster Faulkner. It could be because I'm on an island when it comes to my opinion on Buster Faulkner. I don't think he's very good, but almost everybody else does. So it's definitely possible. I've been wrong before. Some of you might remember this, but in 2019, I picked Georgia to beat South Carolina. Georgia was a top 5 team and undefeated. South Carolina ended up only winning 3 or 4 games that year. But Jake Fromm had 4 turnovers, and the greatest player in Georgia history, Rodrigo Blankenship, missed 2 field goals, and South Carolina actually beat Georgia that day. So I've been wrong before. So I could be wrong about Buster Faulkner. But it just seems like they lose a lot. You know what? It's kind of like Clemson. Like it seemed like Clemson was sort of building towards last year. It kind of felt that way with Georgia Tech too. And Georgia Tech ended up having a good year last year. Clemson fell off a cliff, but it seemed like both those programs were sort of trending towards 2025 being like a banner year for them. And now at Georgia Tech, I don't want to use the term rebuilding. I don't think that's an accurate term, or starting over, but they lose a lot of what was good about them the last couple of years at Georgia Tech. Now, Britt Key's still there, and he's a quote-unquote Georgia Tech guy for whatever that's worth. He's back, and they picked up some key pieces in the portal, and I don't expect him to be, Jeff Collins bad or anything in 2026, but I do question loudly whether or not they're poised to take a step back this coming season, 2026, versus sort of what we saw from them the last couple of years and last year in particular. But here's their schedule. And again, this isn't a prediction video. We're just going to kind of go through it, try to spot some potential landmines. I'll tell you one thing I'm noticing here right off the bat is how many Power 4 teams do you see here? Is that 11? 11. In the non-con, they play Colorado, Tennessee, and Mercer. And then they play 9. The AC, the SEC gets all the headlines about going to 9 conference games. The ACC did too. So 9 conference games for Georgia Tech, 3 non-con, and 2 of the 3 non-con are against Power 4 opponents. Now, one of them's Colorado. And they won this game last year in Boulder, so you would expect them to win this game at home against. You want to talk about Georgia Tech starting over and rebuilding. Colorado's in permanent rebuild mode. You know, Dion doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Doesn't even want to be there. He just doesn't want to give the haters and the doubters any satisfaction, so he refuses to quit. But he don't want to be there. But anyway, they do start off with Colorado and Tennessee, back-to-back weeks at home. So this is not an easy start with a lot of new pieces there, both coaching staff-wise and roster-wise at Georgia Tech. They would be doing good to go 1-1 there, probably. This isn't a prediction video, but if you were to force me right now, I'd say I think they could probably beat Colorado. I think they probably lose to Tennessee. And then they get the Mercer game. That's a game, of course, they can win there. And then the rest of the games are conference games. So that's it. The non-con's out of the way after the first 3 weeks of the season. First conference game on the road at Stanford. Apart from having to travel, which we have seen teams have some issue with this over the last couple of years since these conferences have expanded into these mega conferences, and you got conferences that have teams on multiple coasts. Oregon having to go all the way to Penn State or whatever it is, and then all the ACC teams having to travel to Cal or Stanford, or Cal and Stanford having to travel to the East Coast. You've seen some issues there, but this is a game Georgia Tech has to win. I don't think Georgia Tech's going to be as good of a team as they were last year. So from a record standpoint, these are the games they absolutely have to win against the Stanfords of the world, and there's a few more on here too. But then they get the bye week, come back home, play Duke. This will be a good game. At Virginia Tech, I think this is tough. Virginia Tech's one of the most difficult places to play in the ACC, especially when Virginia Tech is good. And, they've got James Franklin. And every schedule prediction I do that has Virginia Tech on the schedule, I say the same thing. I don't understand the hate for James Franklin, the disrespect, really, that people talk about him like he's Billy Napier. He's a top 10, top 15 coach in all of college football, period. So he's a massive upgrade at Virginia Tech over what they've had in the last 25 years since Frank Beamer. And Virginia Tech's got a manageable schedule, including this game, which they get at home against Georgia Tech. Then Georgia Tech comes back home, plays Boston College. This is another one of those games. They've got to win that one. It's a home game. It's against Boston College. You got to win it. At Pitt, home against Louisville. This Louisville game will be tough. This is another one that if you make me choose right now, I'd probably take Louisville to win that one. At Clemson, this was the game last year where we weren't real sure what was happening here. We were like, okay, Clemson has lost to LSU. What does that mean? And now Georgia Tech beats Clemson. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, turned out Clemson was absolutely terrible, and Georgia Tech was good, maybe not as good as we thought they were in week 2 or 3 or whatever when they beat Clemson. That win against Clemson ended up being just, everybody beat Clemson. Then they play Wake Forest at home. That could be an entertaining game. And they finish things up against Georgia. Not a neutral site game. Georgia, unlike Georgia Tech, not selling their rights to their home game against their rival. Georgia's going to go ahead and play this one in Athens. Last time this game was in Athens, 2 seasons ago, that was that 8 overtime, just that crazy never-ending game where Georgia came from behind and ends up winning in overtime. So that's Georgia Tech's schedule. It's not the most difficult conference schedule in the world. They avoid Miami. They avoid SMU. They avoid Virginia. Clemson appears headed towards another down year. Stanford's not very good. The Duke game, I think, will be tough. The Virginia Tech game will be tough. At Pitt could be tricky. Louisville will be tough. And then, of course, you've got the Georgia game there at the end. 11 Power 4 games for Georgia Tech. Colorado, Tennessee, Georgia. Oh, they're only playing 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Some ACC teams got a waiver from the 9 games, and Georgia Tech is one of them. I forgot about that. I should have added that up before I started talking about them playing 9 conference games. They're playing 8 conference games, but they're playing 3 Power 4 non-cons. So they are playing 11 Power 4 opponents, but only 8 of them are non-con games. The ACC has gone to 9 conference games, but a handful of teams in the ACC were given a waiver to stay at 8. Georgia Tech, obviously, one of them. But anyway, there you go. That's Georgia Tech's 2026 college football schedule. What do you think? How good are they going to be? Can they get to double-digit wins? Can they compete for the ACC? Are they even on your mind at all when you start thinking about potential playoff teams for next year? For me, they're not, at least not right now. We'll see where I'm at in May and June when I actually start doing predictions. But I would expect Georgia Tech to be better this year, obviously, than they were under Jeff Collins. In other words, I don't think the Georgia Tech down years are going to be 3 and 4 win seasons like they were under Jeff Collins. But I don't see them getting to 9 or 10 wins either and competing for the ACC or a playoff berth, at least not in 2026. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. King Season, thank you for the super chat. He says, before seeing the portal class, I was very worried for 2026. After the fact, I'm confident. Defense is going to be better. Run game will be good. QB and wide receivers will be worse. I'd say 7-5 as a way too early. That seems like a realistic expectation for where Georgia Tech's at as a program right now. I don't think, like, it should, like, getting bowl eligible, like, that's a minimum. Like, Georgia Tech's way beyond, like, oh, man, I hope we can make a bowl game. So, yeah, 7-5 would not be a great year. Obviously, that's not something Georgia Tech fans want or would look forward to. But if this is like a transition year for Georgia Tech, again, new offensive coordinator, a lot of new players, lost some coaches, lost your quarterback and your backup quarterback. You lost your quarterback to graduation. You lost your backup to the transfer portal. If it ended at 7-5, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing in the world. All right. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but we do. I don't even know if this matters. But we're going to look at the 2026 college football schedule for Florida State. I mean, for me, all I need to know is Mike Norvell still there? Yeah, they couldn't afford to fire him. Oh, okay, so they're not making a bowl game again? Yeah, okay. The guy's been there 6 years, 4 losing seasons in 6 years. The one good year he had was a complete and total fluke. I mean, at this point, if you can't recognize that and admit that, then you're just a blind homer or you're completely ignorant to the world of college football. But the guy's been there 6 years. He's got no plan. There's no direction. There doesn't appear to be anything that they're building towards. It's just one disastrous season after another where they completely turn the roster over every single year and bring in a new set of players that become losers. I mean, that's just what they do. Outside of that 1 year, it's just been absolutely terrible. And we all know, Florida State fans and everybody else, that the only reason Mike Norvell's there is because they can't afford to fire him. That's got to be a terrible sort of... I mean, I almost feel bad for Florida State fans. Everybody wants to be optimistic in the offseason. And as much as I kind of rag on that sometimes, how, everybody thinks they're going 100-0 and all that. If you're not going to be optimistic in the offseason, like when are you? Because you know you can't be optimistic during the season when you're busy getting beat every week. You know, so. But if you're a Florida State fan, you look at your roster, you look at your coaching staff, and then you look at the schedule. What are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to October 1st or some date where Mike Norvell's buyout gets lower? Like, out beyond that, and I'm not trolling, I'm not making fun. Beyond studying Mike Norvell's contract to figure out where the dates are on the calendar where his buyout drops, and you go, oh, and I don't know what the dates are, I'm making it up, but you go, oh, on October 1st, his buyout goes from A to B. Maybe we can afford that and we can fire him on October 1st because we only have to pay B amount of money instead of A amount of money. Beyond that, I don't know what Mike Norvell or Florida State has shown you over the past couple of seasons that would give you reason to to be optimistic for next year. It's bad. I mean, it's really bad. The good news is you play Alabama early in the season, so you at least get you a big win there before you lose the rest of your games. You start out with New Mexico State, and then they play SMU at home. That SMU game is going to be tough. I mean, again, these aren't prediction videos, but you asked me to, sort of force me to make picks now. Is anybody picking Florida State to win that game? No, I'm not. Then you have a bye week. They play week 0, Florida State does. So one sort of, I guess, benefit or advantage for Florida State this year is they get 2 bye weeks because they're playing that New Mexico State game in week 0. So that gives you 2 weeks to prepare for Bama. I guess we're going to have to hear all offseason from Florida State fans that, yeah, y'all said last year we didn't have a chance against Bama and we beat them. Yeah, that's true. And I'm going to spend this offseason saying the same thing I said last offseason. You don't have any chance to win that game. I'll come on and eat my crow again if I'm wrong again, but are there any Florida State fans that think they can even win that one? I don't know. At Bama. And then you get Central Arkansas, so that's a win there. But I mean, it looks like you could be 2-2, right? You could be 2-2. You host Virginia at Louisville, and at Miami in back-to-back weeks. This is going to be really bad. Then you get another bye week before you host Clemson. Last year's Clemson-Florida State game is one of the worst football games I've ever seen. It's just, you couldn't find a good player anywhere, or a good coach for that matter. I hope it's better football this time than it was last year, and somebody's got to win that one. Maybe it'll be Florida State. I don't know. Do get them at home. At Boston College and at Pitt. So you've got 2 sets of back-to-back road games, so the ACC not doing you any favors with the scheduling there. At Louisville and at Miami in October. And then in November, you got at Boston College and at Pitt. I think you're going to lose both those road games in October. I think you'd be doing good to split these road games in November. And then you finish up the regular season at home against NC State and Florida. And Florida's not great. They're in rebuild mode. Another good coach for the, 6th time in the last 12 years or whatever it is. New players, new quarterback, a new coaching staff. But still, I'd pick Florida right now to win that game if you were to make me. We talk about schedule difficulty. Oh, this team's got a tough schedule. This team's got an easy schedule, or this team's schedule is harder than that team's schedule. One of the sort of just kind of baseline facts about that to me, if you're really bad, your schedule's hard. It doesn't matter who you're playing. Like, if you're as bad as I think Florida State is, you can't have an easy schedule. That's how bad Florida State has become. It used to be this way for Vandy. Vandy's schedule used to be hard in the SEC every single year. Didn't matter who they played. They were dog shit. It didn't matter who they were playing. Everybody they played was better than them. That Vandy's now borderline playoff team, and Florida State is ACC Vandy. Like, you can tell me, well, Virginia's not that good, and Pitt's not that good, and Boston College not that good, and NC State not that good. Yeah, I know. But they're better than you, though. That's what I'm saying. They're better than you. So I don't know how this schedule might compare in your mind to somebody else's schedule in the ACC. Or, we looked at Georgia Tech's. We've looked at Clemson's schedule. I think we looked at Miami's last week. Or even trying to compare it to a schedule from any other league or whatever. I don't know how you might view it. But, to me, any schedule you give Florida State's going to be hard because they're terrible. They're just so bad. Florida State is more in debt than any athletic program in the country. Can you believe that? What is it, $437 million they're in debt? the article published a couple of weeks ago. And in the article, it lists like some of the major things that caused the debt. Obviously, there's the stadium construction that they did over the last couple of years. That always costs a lot of money. But listed in there amongst the reasons why they're so in debt was never-ending legal fees. That's what happens when you sue somebody every time your feelings get hurt. You know what I mean? Legal fees pile $500 an hour adds up quick there, bud. Now you can't afford your coach's buyout. The only thing you can afford is a shovel. Problem is you keep digging that hole you're standing in deeper and deeper and deeper. That's a big problem, my guy. Florida State schedule for 2026. Not looking good for the Noles, I don't think. Not looking good for the Noles, I don't think. I go into these things saying no trash talk. Here's the thing. I can't win for losing. People are so, like, I do so much trash talking, particularly during the season, that even when I'm not trash talking, people just perceive everything I say as trash talk. There was somebody on the, I think it was the Miami schedule video I did last week. There's somebody in the comment section go, I'm never watching this guy again. Over a Miami. Miami made the national title game last year. I'm pretty sure. And in that schedule video for Miami, I'm like, Miami's going to be the overwhelming favorite to win the ACC and make the playoffs again. That, like, there was no trash talking in that video. But in the comments, there's a Miami fan going, I'm never watching this guy again. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This guy's clueless. I'm like, okay, man. All right. But here's the thing. If you find me if you find this channel in the off season and you can't handle it, it's best you quit before the season starts, because this is elementary shit here in the off season. Like, this is kid gloves type treatment in the off season. So if something you're hearing me say on a schedule reaction video is making you that mad, the best thing you can do is stop watching, because when the season rolls around, you're going to be curled up in a ball in the corner of your safe room sucking on a thumb. Holy shit, man. Get a hold of yourself, bud. Forget Norvell. We need his bosses fired first, says Seminole Dolphin. I'm not familiar with the Florida State administration side of things. Like, I know at Florida that was a problem. Like, they didn't like the athletic director, but then they didn't have a school president. There was a political hissy fit basically between Ron DeSantis and the administrators at the school, and so they couldn't. They had no school president. So they're like, well, if there's no president, you can't fire the athletic director, and we don't want the athletic director making the new hire. So, like, I knew there was some stuff going on there. I'm not familiar with what's going on at Florida State. But are you talking about specifically the athletic director, I would assume you want gone? I'm not an expert on Florida State's administration. Hell, some people would say I'm not an expert on anything. You're probably right. I'm not an expert. I'm just a fan. So you're right, actually. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just a fan like y'all are. Maybe a little more loud and obnoxious, but I'm just a fan. But if I was a Florida State fan, I would 100% have a problem with the athletic director giving Mike Norvell that massive raise and extension after having one good season. Because let's remember, that wasn't his first year there. He had 3 losing seasons. And then he had a good year, and they were like, oh, we got to give him a Jimbo Fisher contract, 10 years, $100 million. We got to lock this guy down. No, you don't, dude. He had one good year, but they did. So that would have been enough for me to be pissed off at the athletic director for that ridiculous contract they gave him. The athletic director's a disaster. He thinks there's a salary cap and schools will abide by it. Oh, yeah, well, that's obviously not happening. That's obviously not happening.
King Season, thank you for the super chat. He says Norvell will be fired after the Miami game during their bye week. Book it. Amazing fuel for UM fans. You know what? You bring up a good point. And this will get talked about constantly once the season starts, I'm sure. But everybody knows really that Mike Norvell's only there because they couldn't afford to fire him last year. And everyone pretty much assumes that he is getting fired before the 27 season. So the question is when, right? And bye weeks are a popular time to fire coaches. So you could be onto something here. We're starting to see coaches fired earlier and earlier, so they can get ahead of the coaching search. And then you got signing day on December 3rd, and you got to try to keep your players in the portal, all that kind of shit. So like James Franklin got fired like at this point right here in the season last year, like week 4 or 5. But towards the end of October, beginning of November, you see a lot of coaches get fired. And that bye week that you're talking about is on October 24th before they play Clemson on Halloween. So that is an interesting theory, and it could happen. I think I mentioned it when I was talking about the schedule earlier, but there will be dates where Norvell's buyout gets lower. I don't know what those dates are. Sometimes it's October 1st, or maybe it gets lower on the 1st of every month, or every 3 months it goes down. I don't know what those dates are for Norvell. But it could be that is, like whatever his buyout is now, it's going to be 10 million less, let's say, if they fire him on October 10th instead of firing him now, whatever. But yeah, that is something to watch for. And he'll be on, fired watch pretty much from the beginning of the season. Every time, well, here's what I'll tell you. Every time Florida State loses a game on Saturday, Florida State fans will be refreshing Twitter every 5 minutes on Sunday, hoping to see that announcement come through that Norvell's been fired. That's Florida was doing that with Napier for 2 years. They did it 2 years ago. They did it this season. Every Sunday, Florida fans are sitting in front of their computer or on their phone, refreshing Twitter every 15 seconds, waiting to get the notification that Napier was fired. I think Florida State fans will be doing that. I think Florida State fans will be doing that this season after every Florida State loss. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. He says administration fell for the bullshit that Bama actually wanted Mike Norvell. Yeah, that too. And does that the same agent or something? That Jimmy Sexton. Yeah. Florida State's if it's Jimmy Sexton. Florida State's not the first school or athletic department or whatever to be sort of swindled by him. And all agents kind of operate the same way. Jimmy Sexton's just kind of the most well-known. But yeah, you can't trust them agents as far as you can throw them. That's for sure. That's for sure. Utah Man is waiting to come on the show. That's amazing. Utah Man, you'll be up first. Getting to the phone call. He's telling me to hurry it along here. Are you trying to tell me what to do? Utah Man, you know better than that. All right, it is time to get to the phone calls, though. The link to join the show is in the description of the video. I just posted it there in the comment section as well. Today's Thursday, so I'll stay on a little later tonight than we do on Tuesdays. So I'll stay on as long as y'all want to call in and talk college football. And then once the calls dry up, then we'll hang out and talk in the comment section there about whatever it is that y'all want to chat about. But yeah, let's get to the phone calls. What's up, Utah Man?
What's up, sexy beast?
Yeah, buddy.
I have a topic for you, dear sir.
Oh, good.
This topic is about images that different programs either have earned or tried to cultivate, and how well that is dispersed amongst college fans, right?
Right.
For example, we have the inability of Georgia players to drive a car.
Yes.
Think that's fair, right?
Yes.
BYU, the most holy school, the most righteous school and fan base and group of students that's ever existed. Also agreed, right? Yeah. These images, Florida State, party school, Arizona State, party school, right? Like we have these images that we just put in our head of what that university is and means.
Yep.
Well, now that we have AI, I don't have to spend a lot of time typing into Google searches or going to the library and cracking open a book. I don't have to do any of that. I just go to my local AI and I say, hey, AI, do some research for me. And I asked it, go to the old phone here. I said to Google, not Google, some AI. We don't, hey, sponsor me, I'll tell you your AI. Anyways, what university has the most former or current athletes being charged or found guilty of a crime? I think I wrote heinous crime in the last year. It's right here. Right.
What school has the most athletes charged with a crime in the last year?
Correct. In just the last year. And it said thoughts. Brigham Young University stands out as a university with the most student athletes that have been charged with crimes or found guilty of crimes in the last year. Currently, we have their star wide receiver, Parker Kingston, who is charged, not guilty, this is alleged, of raping a lady. We have Carson Krebs, one of them, who was showing himself in public. And he's just going down to the local Piggly Wiggly and letting everyone have a look, right? He was actually found guilty of this. We also have a DUI on the record. We also have someone that was found guilty of lewd behavior with someone under 6 years old who was found guilty, had some weird stuff going on there. We also had 2 former BYU players, both charged with money laundering and or wire fraud claims. All of this within the past 12 months. This is absurd. This is a problem for our state, our community, white people in general, and anyone that believes in Christ. I think that BYU needs to have a real conversation with whether or not they should even have an athletics department, because the reputation is not going the way that they want it to go. This is not a holy school. This is not a holier than thou school. This is a school that shouldn't even really be a school. That's my belief. Your thoughts, dear sir?
Gumpman in the comment section says that BYU is in the Epstein files.
BYU, I think the BYU files.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Epstein files look like babe child's play.
Yeah, BYU is mostly white, so it could be in the Epstein files.
That is true.
Yeah.
Not many Jews, though, except that one from last year that also had a rape charge.
What, in the Epstein files?
I don't know about the Epstein files. I was just talking about Jews.
What did Jews have to do with BYU?
The Epstein files.
Oh, the
Isn't
Epstein
he
files.
Mossad?
Talking about Alan Dershowitz?
I don't know, dude. I thought we were talking about the BYU Jew for a second there.
Is Les Wexner Jewish?
I think so. I think he's actually kind of a prominent Jew.
I'm not blaming Jews, by the way. You brought
Jews,
that up,
great.
so
They're good. I thought that we were going down a path. I was just trying to go there and try and turn us back the fuck out. I don't want to die tomorrow.
Big if true. Big if true, yeah. Big if true. BYU. Joseph Smith. Yeah, they said Joseph Smith is in the Epstein files. Wow. Didn't see that coming.
Joseph Smith was in some files. I'll tell you that right now. I am so excited for the day that BYU plays Missouri. Do you know about the Mormons in Missouri?
I know about Camp Kanakuk in Missouri, but I don't think it's a Mormon camp. No, but it's
like Joe Smith and the boys. My family being part of them. I don't know if you can tell by my face. They got run the fuck out of Missouri because they was stealing wives and robbing folks. So the folks in Missouri, they locked him up and said, "Hey, you can't be trying to take everyone's wives and daughters and also scamming people with seeing stones.
Yeah.
So we're gonna lock you up."
Yeah, we got to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah. Well, the people of Missouri were like, "We don't think we're gonna find justice here." So the people of Missouri, the good folks of Missouri, who never said that before or will again, decided to rush the jailhouse and killed him good. And that forced the old pioneers, my folks, to head out west and found Utah. And good old Briggs Young was in charge of that little deal, but it was because of Missouri, those sons of bitches. And a few years later, a wagon train from Missouri tried to run through Utah, and they didn't let that happen. It was something about a meadow and a mountain. You can Google that. So, but anyways, real important that you know that BYU was the center school that even AI knows is a center school. So the next time one of those motherfuckers starts getting mad about a chant or some sort of words or some sort of other dumb shit, just know that they're full of shit. They've never been right about anything, and I'm about sick of their dog shit. And it's important that everyone knows that.
Oh, good. Now we do.
I appreciate you. Hey.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. He's something, ain't he? He is something. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou. That's you, Sal. That's you, bud.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to weigh in on the Trinidad Chamblas ruling.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what's to stop the NCAA from coming down on Ole Miss and telling them they aren't eligible for postseason play?
Because of Trinidad Chamblas?
Yes.
Well, if a judge rules that he's eligible, I don't think the NCAA could punish Missouri for him being ineligible. Now, they're under investigation for something else, and it could be that the NCAA comes down on them for that, but I don't think the NCAA can rule a kid ineligible, a court say, no, you're wrong, he is eligible, and then the NCAA punish the school for playing him. I don't think they could do that. I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay, thanks. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, bud. What did you make of that?
That was incredible.
Yeah.
That was the best caller of the night.
Yeah.
That was fucking incredible.
Yeah, thank you for the call. I'm not sure. See, sometimes I think I'm being trolled, but then I'm like, no, I don't think he's trolling. But I think what he was asking is, can the NCAA punish Ole Miss anyway for if they play Trinidad Chamblas? Could they punish him for playing an ineligible player? I don't think they could, and honestly, I wouldn't agree with that. I disagree with the court's ruling that Trinidad Chamblas is eligible to play, but I do believe you have to respect the court's ruling. And if the court says he's eligible to play, Ole Miss is going to play him, and I don't think it would be right for the NCAA to punish Ole Miss for something that the courts said was okay. I think that's a dangerous kind of precedent to set there. So as much as I disagree with the ruling, I think you have to. When it comes to court rulings, whether it's something, and let's be honest, in the grand scheme of things, a court ruling about whether a college football player is eligible to play or not is pretty low on the totem pole in terms of things that matter when you're talking about decisions and rulings that judges make. But I think if you get to a point where you're just completely disregarding judges' rulings because you disagree with the ruling, that's dangerous. Not in the college football sense. It's not dangerous like, oh man, the world's going to end if the NCAA punishes Ole Miss even though the court said he could play. I mean, if you extrapolate that out just in general, you know, there's always going to be court rulings that you disagree with, whether it's like the OJ trial, right? Some people, you know, you disagree with the OJ trial or you don't, whatever. But some people do. Like you can't go murder OJ Simpson in the street because you disagree with the court's ruling that he was not guilty. You have to be able to disagree with a court's ruling but still accept the ruling or abide by the ruling, I think. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Welcome to the White House. Court rulings optional. No, I know he's dead now. I mean, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever it was now, when he was acquitted. You can disagree with the ruling, but you have to abide by it. Everything is legal if you don't get caught. Well, that's a moral question there. It's like, does it, you know, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it really fall or did it really make a noise? Everything is legal if you don't get caught is a moral question. I saw a glove may be involved with the Guthrie case. Where's OJ? I hope they find that poor lady. We have too many judges that don't follow the law. Sounds to me like you're inserting your opinion into that there. It's the judge's job to interpret the law. So a lot more high school kids may start going to a community college, then JUCO, then Group of Five, and then Power Four. Well, that's not the Trinidad Chamblas issue. The junior college is a separate issue. That's the Joey Aguilar case. That'll be coming up soon. Joey Aguilar is arguing that junior college isn't really college. So that's the Joey Aguilar angle. Trinidad Chamblas's angle is medical red shirt. And a medical red shirt has been around forever. And I think it should be. I believe in a medical red shirt. The problem with the Trinidad Chamblas case is the root of the medical red shirt itself. It's from 3 years ago for getting his tonsils removed, which is, come on, that's bullshit. Like we can see through that. It's just complete bullshit. A medical red shirt is a kid blows his knee in week 2. That, you know, you only need a medical red shirt when you've used your regular red shirt. You know what I mean? So Trinidad Chamblas used his regular red shirt his first year there. His second year there, he didn't play. He's claiming that during that second year, he had his tonsils removed, and now he wants to go back in time 3 years and claim that second year as a medical red shirt because he had his tonsils removed. It's bullshit. So I do believe in the idea of a medical red shirt. But medical red shirt is supposed to be for a season-ending injury that occurs early in the season. You know, if you blow your knee out in week 13, you're not getting a medical red shirt. You played 12 and a half games, and then you blew your knee out. Sucks that you blew your knee out, but you didn't lose a year. A red shirt is an extra year of eligibility because you lost an entire year for a medical reason. To claim a medical red shirt from 3 years ago because you got your tonsils removed is ridiculous, in my opinion. 5 years and you're done. No medical, no transfer, no nothing. 5 years for college football, and done. Well, I think they should just do a blanket 6 years.
I think they should just do a blanket 6 years. And it junior college, FCS, Group of 5, Power 4, doesn't matter. 6 years. The idea that junior college isn't real college, like, you know, which that's what Joey Aguilar is going to argue, is that junior college isn't real college. And keep in mind, Trinidad Chamblas is suing for what would be his 6th year. Tons of players have played 6 years. Joey Aguilar is suing for what will be his 8th year. So I actually think the Joey Aguilar situation is way worse than the Trinidad Chamblas deal. Way worse. I don't think either player should be eligible next year. They've exhausted their eligibility. That, like, you know, it's time to get a job, bud. Your job's either going to be NFL player or, you know, you get whatever. What do people tell me all the time? Get a real job, whatever. You know, this Van Wilder shit's got to end. This Van Wilder shit's got to fucking end. Melon Matt, thank you for the message. He says, I knew eligibility was cooked when they let a player come back for his 9th year. Hang it up and get a job like the rest of us. I don't know the details on the player that got the 9th year. I don't know what happened there. So I can't imagine I would agree with it, but I would have to know the circumstances and read up and know who it was and why he got that. And did the NCAA give it to him, or did a judge give it to him? Like, yeah, I'd have to know who the player was, and I'd have to look it up. I don't know who that is that got a 9th year. 6 years to get 4 is more than fair, even for the Mormons and their missions. Well, it actually doesn't apply to if you graduate high school and you go on a 2-year mission trip, and then you enroll in BYU when you're 20, that's your first year. So the whole BYU mission thing, like, you're not using 2 years of eligibility because you're gone on a mission trip to Africa. You haven't enrolled at BYU yet. Your eligibility starts when you enroll. Did Joey Aguilar come in with Jake Fromm? No, Joey Aguilar came in 2019. Yeah, they just start college 2 years late. Right. That's more, the BYU thing is more relatable to Chris Winkie at Florida State from back in the day. So Chris Winkie was in high school, had scholarship offers to play football, but got drafted to play baseball. Went and played professional baseball for 4 or 5 years, something like that. Quit baseball, enrolled at Florida State as a freshman when he was 24, 25 years old. That was his first year of eligibility, 24. When I forget his exact age. But he went from high school to baseball. Got drafted. So he never enrolled in college. So your eligibility in college, at least used to start when you enroll in college. But the Joey Aguilar argument is that junior college isn't really college. And besides that, before Joey Aguilar was in junior college, he was in city college. Somehow a level even lower than junior college. He was in like San Francisco City College for a year or two. He was in city college for a year or two, played, then went to junior college for a year or two, played, then went to App State for a year or two, played, then to Tennessee. This was his 7th. Last year when he played at Tennessee was his 7th year in college. 7th. Are we doing phone calls tonight? Yeah, where you been, bud? We've been doing phone calls. Where you been? Do junior college credits transfer to regular college? I'll answer that. They do. Junior college is college, end of story. And to think I graduated from college in 3 years. Do junior college, same thing happened to Hines Ward. Yeah, so we're going to be going through all this again with Joey Aguilar. I don't know when, I don't know where in the process that is with the lawsuits or whatever he's doing, but we're going to be going through the same thing with him. And he's suing for an 8th year. And his argument is completely different and separate from Trinidad Chamblas. Trinidad Chamblas was arguing a medical red shirt from 3 years ago due to having his tonsils removed. Joey Aguilar is arguing that he's only actually played 3 years of college football. 2 at App State, 1 at Tennessee. When in reality, he played 2 years in City College, 2 years in junior college, 2 years at App State, and 1 year at Tennessee. He's played 7. But he's claiming that junior college should not count against his eligibility. Georgia fans are scared Trinidad Chamblas got another year. I'm sure Georgia fans are shaking in their boots. Octavian didn't call in. He called in on Tuesday. Oh, yeah, we knew you weren't calling in, bud. Is Octavian okay? No. Fuck no. Have you never heard him call in before? No, he's not okay. Has he ever been okay? Is Octavian okay? No. No, he's not. He's not okay at all. He's not okay at all. Yeah, he's not even okay when Florida wins. He's never okay. At least he's not a BYU Cougar. Well, he does have that going for him. He does have that going for him, at least. Give Octavian time, it'll get worse. Can it get worse? I don't know if it can get worse. He could start by fixing his smoke alarm. That would be a step in the right direction. So Joey was in school when I first watched your channel in 2019. Yeah, he was in San Francisco City College. He graduated high school in May of 2019 and enrolled in San Francisco City College in the fall of 2019. Oh, that's your fault for doing that, Kyle. You should have known what you were getting yourself into there. That's on you, bud. That's on you. Yeah, I can't have any sympathy for you there. I can't have no sympathy for you there, bud. Unfortunately. Why would you type that in a public chat and admit it and people can see it? If Lagway wins the Heisman, they'll just blame it on Napier not knowing how to get the most out of him or whatever it is they say. Will Joey Aguilar be a cashier at Walmart in a year from now? Hopefully he's made some connections at least one of the 5 schools he's spent time at. Is it 5? San Francisco City College, Junior College, App State, UCLA for a week, and then Tennessee. Yeah, hopefully he's made a connection or two at one of the 5+ schools he's spent some time at, and he'll be able to get him a job somewhere when he graduates or when he runs out of eligibility. DoorDash. Hopefully he'll wind up with something a little more lucrative than that. This is the first time I feel literally no excitement this upcoming season. No, we have our differences, but the program's on fire, Lou. Yeah, I don't know if you were in here earlier when I looked at the Florida State schedule and I talked about it a little bit, but I don't know how, like, I don't know how, if you're, like, during the off season, even if you've been bad, like, that's the time where you want to try to be optimistic. But I don't know if Florida State fans can even get to that, given everything that's gone on there over the last couple of years. Literally nobody supports Mike Norvell, except for the financial department at Florida State, who says we got to keep him because we can't afford to fire him. No, I didn't bet no NBA games. I mean, look, when the season starts and Florida State's getting ready to play whoever it is they're getting ready to play, Florida State fans are going to wake up the morning of that game hoping that their team wins. I don't doubt that. At a minimum, they'll do that. But I think what's likely to happen with Florida State fans is that they take a similar sort of stance as most Florida fans last year. You're going to want to win the game on Saturday morning. And then when you lose, it's going to be like, okay, can we fire Norvell now? Florida fans were like that last year. You get to the point you're like, okay, yeah, I want to see my team win, but more than that, I want a new coach. And that's where Florida State fans are going to be next year, I think. At the end of the Butch Jones tenure, I was rooting for us to lose so we could just cut bait and move on. I don't remember really how I felt at the end of the Jim Donnan era. Fired Jim Donnan and hired Mark Richt in 2000. I don't really remember. There was no internet back then. I don't know what I was thinking one way or the other in regards to Jim Donnan. But at the end of the Mark Richt thing, and I wanted Richt fired. I mean, it's not a secret. I did dozens of videos about it. But I could never make myself want Georgia to lose. Even that last game of the season in 2015, we played Georgia Tech, and there was a lot of buzz. This could be it. If Georgia loses this game, Rick could be gone. And as much as I wanted Mark Richt gone, I wanted Georgia to win that game 100-0. Like I always do. Now, it ended up working out, and they fired him anyway. But to be fair, though, I never went through multiple seasons in a row like Florida State has gone through, or like Florida went through under Napier, where you have multiple losing seasons like that. I mean, Florida State and Florida both have more losing seasons in the last 5 or 6 years than Georgia has in my entire lifetime. So I don't know what my mindset would be. Let's say Georgia had 4 losing seasons in 6 years with the same coach and for some reason still had him. I don't know what I would be thinking on Saturday mornings before every game. I don't know. The only thing even remotely close I have to compare that to is when I wanted Mark Richt fired in 2015. And even then, every Saturday I wanted Georgia to win. Tiger's son is going to FSU. I think Tiger did go to Stanford, yeah. Anybody know? I think he went to Stanford. I think Jack Nicklaus might have went to Florida State. Is that true? Yeah, Rick only had 1 losing season, and that was 6-7, I think. I think he was like 6-6 and then lost the bowl game or something and went 6-7 maybe. That was his only losing season. You want Tiger Woods is going to do for Florida State what Mark Cuban is doing for Indiana? Is that what you're thinking there? Maybe. Hell, everybody wants a Mark Cuban, don't they? We all want a Mark Cuban donor, don't we? I know I do. I'll tell you, Georgia's got a lot of advantages. I love Kirby. They got a great staff. They get a ton of support from the administration and from the boosters and all that. But Georgia doesn't have the financial backing. Like, Georgia's not a top 10 or 15 money team. I wish they were. I wish they were. But Georgia's not a top 10 or probably not even top 20 money team, when it comes to, when you're talking about like your Texas Techs, whatever. Obviously Indiana with Mark Cuban, Texas A&M, Texas, whatever the top ones are. I wish Georgia had that. Georgia's got some other advantages that I'm happy to have, like a great coaching staff and an administration that's bought in and like they well-oiled machine. Not complaining necessarily, but they're not at the top of the heap when it comes to well, you can tell from the transfer portal every year, like, Georgia was never in the running for Cam Coleman. Like, Cam Coleman hit the portal and said $2.5 million. Georgia was out right away. Not that they don't think he's worth it, but they can't afford it. Oh yeah, Burt Reynolds went to FSU. That's right. Yeah, played football there too. Founder of Dish Network is a Tennessee alum. Well, and y'all have, what's his name from the Cleveland Browns, too. He's a billionaire. What's his name? What's his name? What's the Cleveland Browns guy that gives all his money to Tennessee? He's a billionaire, isn't he? He's got to be if he owns an NFL team. Haslam, Jimmy Haslam. Yeah. He's a billionaire, isn't he? He gives money to the athletic department, or at least he used to. He bought Nico, didn't he? I think he's the one that bought Nico. Wasn't it his private plane? Arizona Diamondbacks owner is a West Virginia alum. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey Lou, how are you?
Good, what's up, buddy?
I missed the early part of your show. I didn't know if you wanted to give me the quick version of your Georgia Tech preview.
You have to go back and watch it.
Optimistic, pessimistic?
I don't think they'll be as good as last year.
Okay, that's fair.
But I don't think they're bottoming him out either. That was kind of the, you know me, I'm long-winded, so I'll give you the 30-second version. But I don't think they'll be as good as last year. But I think Brent Key and that program is in too good of a spot right now to bottom out like they did. If Jeff Collins was going to have a bad year, that meant 3 or 4 wins. I don't think that's the case for Brent Key. So
I gotcha.
When I say bad year, I mean, they've been like trending up. I think this might be a little bit of a down tick. So what if that's
like
7 and 5, or
thing.
maybe you pull off an upset and go 8 and 4.
Okay.
But like, you remember last offseason, I talked about Georgia Tech being a sleeper for the playoffs. And then as the season went along, especially about halfway through the season, it looked like it might pan out that way. You won't hear me talking like that this year. Now that doesn't mean they won't make it, but it won't be my prediction that they make any type of ACC or playoff run. I don't think this year.
I noticed they weren't in your way too early top 25, so seems like I would say 7 and 5 is where I've got them too. So I feel like
kudos for playing 11 Power 4 games, bud. That ain't gonna be easy.
I will say I am excited about the Tennessee game in Atlanta. I think that would be a good one.
Yeah, you beat Colorado and Tennessee both in Atlanta to start the season, and then Georgia at the end of the season, plus your 8 conference games. How did y'all avoid 9 conference games?
That's a good question, especially because they got NC State and Virginia playing in Brazil.
I heard. I remember when the 9. I think it has something to do with the fact that that they have 17 teams. Not everybody every year can play 9 games because the math just doesn't work. And so it's on some sort of like a rotation where every year there's a handful of teams who are only playing 8. I remember
right.
here, I need to look more into that because I got confused when if you go back and watch it, you'll see, but I got confused because I was like, dang, they play 9 conference games. What is this, all Power 4? Because they got 3 non-con. Then I was like, oh no, they're only playing 8 conference games. What? And I was like, wait, I thought they were playing 9. But then I remembered when they announced that the ACC was going to 9, I remember there being some sort of caveat where some amount of teams each year wouldn't play 9. And I think it's because of the number of teams. The math doesn't work or something. But anyway, but that's not a knock on Georgia Tech only playing 8, because like I said, they're playing 11 Power 4. They're playing 11 Power 4 games. So, I mean, if Georgia Tech doesn't have a legitimate schedule, then there's no such thing as a legitimate schedule. They're playing 11 Power 4 opponents. So,
yeah, I think the only break is Mercer. And then
yeah, that's right, Mercer.
I will say this: if it is possible to make something confusing and convoluted beyond all reason and logic, then the ACC will do that.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right based on my understanding of how the ACC would run the league. And I will say too, I was actually at that 2015 Georgia Tech game. I think it was a 1-score game, but it was like close the whole time, and so yeah, it was. That was an interesting 3 years because they beat them in Athens twice. It was a close game at home, and that set my expectations a little bit too high for them, the Jeff Collins years that followed. Jesus
Let me
Christ.
ask you this though about Brent Key. I know y'all love Brent Key. I think he's a great fit there too. But so, do you think he's built up enough equity and goodwill with the fan base to where, if you do go 7-5, people aren't gonna come with the pitchforks? Like I know I'm not saying Georgia Tech fans are happy to go 7-5, but like, if, in other words, if Georgia went 7-5 this year, I'd be mad, but I wouldn't be like, well, that's it, Kirby's got to go. He went 7-5, like, obviously, right? So, do you think Brent Key has built up enough goodwill there to where the fans will be like, okay, we lost Buster Faulkner, we lost Haynes King, a lot of turnover, we've had a couple of good years, I can swallow this 6 or 7 win season and still be on board with Brent Key going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
it
I don't
should.
think. I think it would depend on what the wins and losses are in terms of if people were upset about it. I mean, if you go losing, I think, and it kind of sucks to say it like this, but it's like you got to beat at least one team that like you're the the underdog or whatever, be it Clemson, Georgia, Tennessee, whatever, Virginia Tech, Miami,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if we win 7 games, but then one of those is against one of those teams, then I think he'll be fine.
Yeah.
If it's kind of like you win 7 games, but you lose all 5 of like the ones that are like, upper echelon teams, whatever. I don't think anybody would come in with pitchforks though, but I think it would definitely have some people thinking about, okay, like, can he actually take us to the next level? But yeah, I think with losing Haynes King and everything, I don't think anybody's sitting here like, oh my gosh, he's got to go. I mean, obviously we're going to take a step back when you lose what you lose. So
Yeah.
I would have faith in him for at least this year and the next year after, if he was like 7-5 or something. Now, if he goes, 5-7 and you flip that, I think there's reasonable questions to be had there.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
So I think of anything else. Yeah, I don't know. Not a whole lot off season, man. But that's about it for me.
This was an alarmingly normal phone call.
Oh, it could get weird if you want to get weird.
No, that's okay. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, I say, well, I was gonna talk some shit on Florida, but I'm gonna hold that off until I'm gonna let the season start talking, and then we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Jolis, thank you for the call, buddy. Good to hear from you. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Shabbat shalom in that.
What are you doing up past your bedtime, man? You supposed to be done drank your brand and went to sleep. Let's take your Metamucil and go to bed, man.
I hadn't talked to you in a while, so I thought I would jump on.
Oh, what's going on?
We're a basketball school.
Dang. I hate to hear that.
Damn. So do I. Oh, I didn't even know we had a hockey team until last year.
Yeah, Georgia's got one too, but it's not a I forget what it's not a whatever, like, it's not an SEC thing. It's a club, basically. No. It's club. It's like club. It's like flag football, basically, but ice hockey is it's not. I don't want to say it's not real, but it's not sanctioned or whatever. It's not like NCAA.
If a school had a Quidditch team or something.
Yeah, like they're not playing Wisconsin or whatever, who actually does have hockey teams. Yeah.
Well, when I think hockey, I think Northeast anyway. But
right.
Are you going to do a video on the Florida schedule?
No, of course.
Eventually?
Of course. Yes, of course.
God help me.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Is it hard again?
What?
Is it hard again? The Florida schedule? Remember the last 2 years, Florida schedule was too hard.
It's doable. It's doable to get a winning season if we actually had a coach. But since G5 Johnny is basically Sunbelt Billy version 2, we don't really have a coach, do we?
Man, this is bad. This is terrible news, man. What?
Well, not for you.
This is horrible, man. You didn't want Lane Kiffin either, though, did you?
I wasn't thrilled. No. When he ended up going to LSU, it didn't break my heart.
Yeah.
I think, I was saying all along, and then two years before this last year, where everyone's talking about Lane to Florida, everyone in Florida want to jump on the Lane train, and it's like no, because he's going to bring that nonsense to Florida, and I don't want him bringing that nonsense to my school. And everyone's saying, no, Lane grew up, Lane's matured, Lane's changed, Lane's a different man than he was when he was at Tennessee or whatever. The years of hard have mellowed him out and, taught him things. No. You look at, all you have to do is that everyone who said that is a liar or stupid.
Dang.
Look at what he's doing at LSU. Look at what he did to Mississippi, Ole Miss on the way out, and what he's doing at LSU on the way in. It's the same lame kitten that there always was. It's all bullshit. It's all insanity. And you know what? God bless the Tigers. They can have that shit.
Yeah.
I almost feel like a fool for saying it, but I'd rather have the stupidity of G5 Johnny than the insanity of Lane Kiffin, because I don't think it's going to work out for LSU.
There is a traveling circus that follows around Lane Kiffin. There's no doubt about that. That's the thing. Lane Kiffin is the type of coach he has to win, because if he doesn't, like some coaches, take Sam Pittman at Arkansas, for example. Now, he wasn't a very good coach, but nobody wanted to fire him because just everybody likes him. He's a nice guy. He doesn't make any waves. He's whatever. Lane Kiffin, if he has a couple of bad years in a row, he'll be gone. Like that. Now, I'm not saying he will, but the only way people are willing to put up with the Lane Kiffin circus is if it accompanies 10+ win seasons in playoff bursts. Yes, that's it. Yep.
And LSU's got resources. Louisiana is not a bad place to recruit. He could do it, but I think he's going to bring so much stupidity with him that I don't see LSU making it to the next level with Lane any more than I did when they had Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly. Yeah. Sometimes I forget things. Florida's schedule, I looked at Florida's schedule real quick day before yesterday. I looked at it. Somebody asked me on a Gator forum online, and I said 6-6. New coach that I don't trust, breaking in a new quarterback. I don't know who's going to throw it to. Yeah, I guess we got Bob back, which is a good thing. Our defense looks okay, maybe a little better than okay. 6-6.
Yeah.
7-5, maybe. We're not winning the marquee matchups. I still hope we can roll into Tallahassee and beat Florida State, because that always makes me feel good.
Yeah, I think you'll win that one.
I hope so, because I really don't need to hear from a couple of members of my family who went to free shoes. No thanks.
Yeah.
You know who I'm hearing grief from?
Who's that?
My daughter.
Oh no.
Yeah, she went to she's wrapping up at South Florida.
Yeah.
So UF lost to South Florida. She started giving me shit.
That's right. I forgot y'all lost to a group of 5 team. Dang.
She stopped giving me shit when I said I won't pay for a Spotify anymore.
People pay for Spotify?
Well, she does. Well, no, I do.
What do you get? What does that do? Does it just make it ad free, or is there something else?
I have no fucking idea. I've never been on Spotify. She subscribed to it like 10 years ago, and I put it on one of my credit cards, and it's been on there ever since. And I said, when you get a job finally, you're going to take it over.
I think I have the Spotify app, and I think I've even pulled it up before. but I know I don't pay anything for it. But there is a lot of commercials.
But you do have, yeah, but you do have a teenage daughter. You know how they can be.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, we're not in charge of our lives anymore.
No. Yeah, they do rule the roost. That is for sure.
Well, mine's not a teenager anymore. They're both 20 something. So
yeah,
they growed.
Yeah,
mostly.
Well, mine's in college. So
yeah, where'd she end up going?
Augusta Tech.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's taking nursing. Well, she's in pre-nursing, right? She still have to take the core classes, so it's the first semester. Well, actually, they're on the quarter system, so it's her second quarter. She just started her second quarter, but she's taking core classes, so like she's taking biology and anatomy and shit like that.
Lou Jr.'s in high school now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Jesus, they grew up fast.
Yeah, I took him last night. He's doing dual enrollment next year, so he'll be taking college classes.
Oh,
his
man,
senior
you gotta be a proud pop.
Yeah, well, you know what? I never thought about this before. Obviously, that's great because you get a head start, but it's free.
Yeah.
So you can get 30 hours a year.
Yep.
That's almost a whole year of college classes that you don't have to pay for.
Yeah, and does Georgia have something like they have here in Florida? They have something called Bright Futures here, where if you qualify, basically for the 4 years you're at a university, you get the tuition.
Yeah, Hope Scholarship they call it. They've had that here for 30 years. They had it when I graduated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only way they could get the lottery to pass here. They had to attach that to it. The lottery pays for that here. So yeah, 3.0 I think it is. Yeah, Lou Jr. has that. He'll get the Hope Scholarship.
And that'll save you a ton of money.
Yeah.
Because we all know that Lou is doing well, but he ain't made money.
Well, I tell people all the time, and you'll know this is true too, but as long as you have dependent children, you're broke. It doesn't really matter how much money you make or how much money you have. You're really broke all the time because whatever they don't need now, they need tomorrow. So,
Lou, I'll give you a preview, spoiler alert of coming attractions. When they're no longer dependent children, you're still broke.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm sure there'll be other things too. Car insurance is what is unbelievable. I don't know. I'm talking $6-7 grand a year.
Yeah, well, you got a son. I only had daughters, but still, my car insurance was not cheap.
Each,
even with young daughters. But with a young son, that's got to be 3 times as bad.
Yeah, the car insurance is ridiculous. Now, luckily, they don't have car payments. Both their cars are paid for, but we pay a car payment in car insurance.
Oh, hell, you get more than a car payment. Damn. I really didn't have anything sports related to say. You know my feelings on Florida. I just I hadn't spoken to you online in a while, so I just wanted to call and support the show. And
I was listening to you yesterday, but I wasn't in the comment section. I was busy doing something, but I had you on yesterday.
Well, you are a busy and important person on the.
This is true. Even in the off season, of course, I have no off season. Between planning vacations, going on vacations, and regaling the people of YouTube with tales of the stupid, I don't have a lot of free time.
Well, I tell people all the time, they say, well, why are you still on talking to those people? The college football season's over. I said, Trash Talk has no off season.
Yeah.
They think I'm insane. Yeah. And I'm not even in the top half of the trash talkers around here.
Well, and you're a Florida fan. The off season's the only time you can trash talk.
Well, it's true. Well, for the time being, this is very, very true, unfortunately. But
I've been in that position before too. I know how it is.
But then again, Florida did beat Georgia last night, so I got to hang on to something.
In basketball?
Yeah.
Oh.
Blew them out at home.
Yeah.
In Athens, I should say. So, I mean, I'm not the greatest basketball fan in the world, but put the Florida game on screen number 2 and do something on screen number one, and at least it's somewhat entertaining.
I hear you.
That's all.
All right, Celine.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate you staying up late tonight tuning into the show, man.
Well, sometimes the Metamucil kicks in a little later than normal, and
Yeah, I know this. All kidding aside, I know this show's a little late for you usually, but it was good to hear from you.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. There you go, Celine Driver, an OG LoutubeHere. The guy been around. He might have been on my channel longer than I have. Now that I'm thinking about it, he's been around a long time though. Good guy too. He's a good guy too. Most of the time. Is Chris Winky still eligible? Thank you, Pool Hall, for the super chat. No, but if he sues, he could become eligible. All he's got to do is file suit in Tallahassee, and the judge will sign off on it. That's the way it works these days. Whether you're eligible or not is irrelevant. I mean, Trinidad Chamblas isn't eligible, but he's going to play next year because a judge said so. So if Winky wants to play for Florida State and Florida State wants him to play there, all they have to do is file suit in Tallahassee, and he'll be on the roster in September. It's that easy. It is that easy. Basketball was invented as a way to keep football players out of trouble during the off season. I don't think that works. Most of the trouble that football players get in occurs during the off season. So I don't think that plan is working. It's definitely not working at Georgia. Not the last few years. Pretty much absent at this point. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to give you a demerit, but I can't mark you as present for today's show if you just got here. I hope you understand. I'm not going to give you the demerit, though. That little badge you have next to your name overrides whatever demerit I would have given you. Lou needs to donate a drag strip. Joelish, thank you for the super chat. I feel bad not making it weird, Lou. I went drinking my homemade beer, toffee coffee this evening to get sugar caffeine buzzed all in one warm swoop. That's more like it, Joelish. The homemade beer, toffee coffee, that's more like it, bud. Lou, what are your plans for March Madness? I do like March Madness. It's not a secret. I talk about that for years. I think if you're a sports fan, that's some of the most exciting few days of the year. The first and second weekends, particularly the first weekend, but even the second weekend is good too. But that first weekend, when you've got games all day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, pretty much from noon to midnight, 4 days in a row. Games are ending every 30 minutes from about noon to midnight. It's some of the most exciting sports you can watch as a sports fan. I absolutely love March Madness. I'm going to Cherokee again this year for the first round of March Madness. So I think it's the weekend of March 20th. Let me see. Well, Thursday is March 19th. That's the first round. I know they have games like play-in games or whatever they have now on Tuesday or Wednesday or something, but to me, the tournament starts on Thursday and the games start around noon. I'm going to Harrah's Cherokee. I'm leaving here about 6:30 or 7 in the morning on Thursday, March 19th. And I will be there through Monday. So I'm going to sit my happy ass in the sports book at Harrah's Cherokee all day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and watch the first two rounds that first weekend of March Madness. And I would encourage all of you to do the same. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun.
And you know, you can bet every game. You don't have to have a lot of money. You can come up there with $100, $200, and bet $15 or $20 on almost every game. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, and at the end of the day, maybe you're up $100, maybe you're down $100, but you just go to the little machine. You bet on every. You could literally bet on every game. It's a lot of fun. I did it last year, and immediately I said, "Well, I'm doing that again next year." So I've already got my reservation up there Thursday through Monday for opening weekend of March Madness. Am I the only one who doesn't see badges, only wrenches? I think it depends on what you're watching it on. Like if you're watching it on an iPhone versus an Android versus a computer, it might be different. On my computer, it shows badges. Let me see what it shows on my phone. Shows badges on my phone too, and I have an Android, Samsung S25. iPhone better than Android. iPhones are toys for kids and old people. They're dumbed down versions of an iPhone is a dumbed down version of a Samsung S series phone. Yeah, I don't know why they changed it from wrenches to badges. I noticed it about a week ago. But, you know, YouTube's got a whole department of people whose job it is to fix problems that don't exist. Meanwhile, they don't have any department whose job it is to fix actual problems. But they seem to have a never-ending supply of people who are available to fix problems that don't exist at YouTube. It's really weird. Will West Virginia be better this year with what they did in the portal and recruiting? Yes. When they hired Rich Rod, you know, what was it, 70 new players they brought in last year? I mean, it was an unbelievable amount, and they had no choice. They lost. The whole roster was gone. I'm not knocking Rich Rod. He had no choice. 80. Yeah. See, to me, last year was always going to be a wash. You had to right away. You had to say, well, we want Rich Rod back. And you had to automatically, you have to be looking towards year 2. Year 1 was just never going to be it there. And it wasn't. And I'm not telling you they're going to make a playoff run this year, but there should be a massive improvement at West Virginia this year versus last year. Will Malachi Tony have a sophomore slump? I don't think so. I don't think so. I thought our 30 players gone was bad. Yeah. Every year, like this year, it's Iowa State. You know, Penn State hired Matt Campbell, the coach at Iowa State. The entire fucking 2 deep left and went to Penn State. It's insane. It's crazy. So every year there's a couple of teams that happens to. It's usually related to a coaching change. Uncle Lou's bookie. Are you doing a Valentine's Day spicy Patreon stream? Just want to know so I can put it on the Google Calendar. Unfortunately, no. I am going to be out of town this weekend, so I won't. I may do a quick stream or 2 this weekend from my phone, but nothing planned. I'm going to be out of town. Do you know the games of the Slav Olympics yet? No. Lunch money on Monday night. We will start working all that out. 9 o'clock Monday night on the Lunch Money Show. Me and Pete will start working all that out. All right, we're doing paper, rock, scissors because we do that every year. But beyond that, I don't know yet.
Karaoke battle. Well, we can do karaoke on. We're going bar hopping Friday and Saturday night. We can do karaoke, but that won't be a Slav Olympics competition. You could do a spicy street from Cherokee. I can do anything I want, but I might not want to do that. Shot of beer every 60 seconds. Oh, you had to update the app. Okay. You want the 5-star dummy though?
5-star dummy.
Congratulations, my man. That's the only one of the day so far. It belongs to you, my man. Point of pride. Point of pride right there. Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow around 1 or 2 in the afternoon and coming back Monday. So there won't be a morning show Monday either. I won't be back till sometime Monday afternoon. Just getting off work and tuning in. What's up, Ezra? Good to see you in here. Uncle Lou, you got ideas for Valentine's Day? I don't typically celebrate Valentine's Day. I think it's a made-up fake holiday. It's made up by Hallmark and the candy companies and the floral companies. But I know I know Valentine's Day is important to some people sometimes. So, we're going out. We're going to the mountains. That's what I'm doing for Valentine's Day. And by the mountains, I mean Harris Cherokee Casino in the mountains. It's hard not to go to those places when you can stay for free. I mean, it's a free place to stay in the mountains for 3 nights. So. I need to travel more. Never been outside Ohio. Yikes. Come on, man. Yeah. Look, I didn't travel much at all in my 30s. So when I was a kid, obviously my parents would take us like to the beach once a year. Usually Myrtle Beach. In my 20s, it was a lot of family vacation stuff. I got married in my 20s. And her family vacationed every year in St. Augustine. So we would go to St. Augustine every year with her family. Didn't vacation much in my 30s, though. It's really just been the last 3 or 4 years, really, that I've done more traveling in the last 4 or 5 years than I did in the 20 years prior to that. Part of it is my kids are older now. When your kids are young, it's hard to do a lot because they're so expensive, or whatever vacation you do involves them, but they're old enough now to where they don't really want to go anyway.
I don't leave my small town ever, says Roger Dodger. I mean, when my kids were young, like, you know, through their early teenage years, really, I didn't really have the money to travel. Or the money I did have to travel, it was one family vacation a year. You know, we go to the beach for a week in the summer or something. You know, they're old enough now where, like, you know, I can go out of town. Like, they're in school now. It doesn't matter. I go out of town. It doesn't matter. You know, one's in college, one's a junior in high school. So part of it is just having the time to do it now, to where I didn't have the time earlier. But in the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I've been to Vegas 6 or 7 times. I've been to New York, been to Pigeon Forge, Isle of Palms, Panama City, a cruise, Orlando. I mean, I can't even. I've been pretty lucky the last 4 or 5 years. I've got to travel a lot the last 4 or 5 years. Where have I not been that I want to go? I'd like to go somewhere in Colorado at some point. I would like to do Arizona at some point. I would like to go somewhere in Texas at some point. Boston, Philadelphia, never been there. Never been to Boston or Philadelphia. As far as overseas or like international travel, maybe Ireland, Italy or Greece. I don't know that I need to know. England, no. Maybe Paris, but Ireland, Italy, Greece for sure. I would like to go to. Oh yeah, I've been to New Orleans 2 or 3 times too in the last few years. Berlin? No, never. No, I don't have no interest in going. I've been to Germany. I spent 3 weeks in Germany. I don't need to go back there. I mean, I liked it there, but if I was going to go to Europe, I wouldn't go somewhere I've already been. Yeah, I would like to go to San Antonio. I've heard the Riverwalk there is really cool, but I've never been anywhere in Texas at all. Nowhere. Chicago, I would do like a weekend in Chicago, maybe. Yeah, I don't care so much about the Alamo, but I've heard the Riverwalk area is really cool, San Antonio. Latvia? No, fuck Latvia. No. No. I would love to go to Chicago or NYC, but if not, probably one of the beaches on the East Coast. I love New York City for 3 or 4 days at a time, but I don't know that I could take much more than that. It's a lot of walking. It's expensive. But I do love New York City, but not for, like, you know, I go to Vegas, I stay for 7 or 8 days. I would have no interest in staying 7 or 8 days in New York City. Now, part of that is because I've been there so many times and I've already done all the tourist shit that you can do. Like, I mean, I've been, you know, I've been to the Empire State Building. I've been to the fucking Apollo Theater. I've been to Central Park. I've been to Times Square 100 times. I've been to the 9/11 Memorial a bunch of times. I've ridden the subway. I've eaten a hot dog off the street. I've been to, well, back then it was the day I went to a taping of the Dave Letterman show, but whatever they do there. I've seen a Broadway musical. I've done all the touristy shit there. So now when I go, like when we went last May. So like 9 months ago, we went. The lady's son graduated high school, and we asked him where he wanted to go, and he said New York City. So took him to New York City for, I think we were there for 3 nights. I think it was 3 nights we were there, and that's enough for me. 3 or 4 days is enough for me. New York City. If you've been to the Chinatown sweatshop in New York. Oh, yeah, a bunch of times. That's my favorite thing to do there, is to go to Chinatown. I fucking love Chinatown in New York. It's so much fun. Rhode Island? I got no interest in going to Rhode Island. No. 0. You'd have to pay me to go to Rhode Island. Look. Vegas is the greatest city on earth. If you had to tell me right now, I can only vacation one place for the rest of my life, hands down, it's Vegas. Vegas is the greatest city on earth, period. And you don't even have to like gambling. You don't even have to like gambling. There's nothing you can do anywhere that you can't do in Vegas. It's the greatest city on earth. Now, it is extremely hot if you go in July. Extremely. I'm talking 125 degrees real temperature. Extremely fucking hot. But there's plenty of ways to cool off. And even in the wintertime when you go, it's like we go every January, it's 60 degrees during the day. 60 degrees and sunny every day. It gets cold at night, 40 degrees or something, but by lunchtime it's 60 degrees. And if you told me you can only travel to one place for the rest of your life, it would be Vegas, hands down. It's the greatest city on earth. What about Alaska? I don't have any interest in Alaska. I don't like the cold in general. And, sometimes you go there and it stays dark for 24 hours straight. I got no interest in that. Hawaii, I would probably, I would do a trip to Hawaii. It's not anywhere on the top of my list of things to do, but I wouldn't say no to a trip to Hawaii. Yeah, I'm not doing it all. If I do a cruise, it's going to be a Caribbean cruise. Caribbean cruise or a Mexico cruise. Saudi Arabia? No. I guess I would go to Dubai, just to say I went, but I don't even really, it's not anywhere on my list either. But Saudi Arabia, I just outright wouldn't go to. Dubai, I would go to. Japan, yeah. So, well, anywhere. I would like to go somewhere in the Far East. So whatever that is, Japan, somewhere in Japan for a week, China for a week, Thailand, something over there. I would do something like that. Yeah. East Jabib. I know I drive through East Jabib all the time, but I don't have any interest in stopping there. No. East Jabib and Bumblefuck Egypt. I don't have any interest in stopping in either of those two places. I drive through them all the time. Golf in Vietnam looks fun. Golf doesn't look fun to me anywhere. Beyond an occasional trip to Top Golf. I've been to Canada. It was a long time ago, but I've been to Canada. I don't have a desire to go back. Not because I didn't like it. There's nothing there for me, I don't think. Nashville. Never been to Nashville, but I'm fixing that problem in March. The Slob Olympics are in Nashville the second weekend of March, so I'll be up there for 3 nights, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night in March in Nashville, the second weekend of March. You never heard of East Jabib? Any more thoughts on an updated ride for comfort? Did you listen to the morning show the other day? I still have, or was it the call-in show when I thought, I still don't know what I'm going to do. I still don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, it's not something I have to decide anytime soon. It's just something I've been thinking about. I don't want another car payment. That I'm certain of. So for the time being, I'm leaning towards just sticking with what I have. If you had 15 college towns to go see a college football game as a college football fan, what you want me to name 15? I'm not naming 15 of anything. What Power 4 teams in each conference will be the most improved? In the SEC, most improved, I will go with either South Carolina or Florida. It's got to be bad teams we're talking about, because like Georgia can't be the most improved. I mean, even if Georgia went 16-0, that's only what, 4 more wins than they had last year. So most improved means they had to be bad last year. So for the SEC, I'll go with either South Carolina or Florida. For the ACC, most improved, Clemson is a possibility because of Dabo and who knows. But boy, I don't have a lot of faith in them this year. How about Virginia Tech in the ACC? I'll go with Virginia Tech in the ACC. Most improved in the Big Ten, Michigan State. Most improved in the Big 12. Could be Houston. Could be Utah. Oh, Oklahoma State's an obvious. Yeah, how did I forget that one? Because they were like 1-11 or something. So yeah, I mean Oklahoma State, I guess, would have to be on the list. Yeah, just because they were so bad. Yeah, they were so bad. West Virginia, maybe. Biggest slips in the Power 4? Ole Miss is a possibility. So this is the opposite. It's got to be somebody that was good last year and won't be this year. I don't know if I don't know. I don't think Ole Miss will be bad, but new coaching staff. They did lose some players. Trinidad coming back obviously helps, but it could be Ole Miss in the SEC. ACC. Could be Georgia Tech. Big Ten. Biggest drop off in the Big Ten. Almost said Ohio State. Almost said Ohio State. If you're talking just regular season, Ohio State went 12-0 last year. They got a tough schedule. Big 12. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think more on that one. Nebraska could fall off again. That's true. Indiana, well, do I think they're going 12-0? I don't predict anybody to go 12-0. So maybe. I mean, I still think Indiana will be good. Could they go 9-3 instead of 12-0? Maybe. I'm not buying Kentucky until I see them do something. No, I'm not uploading to Spotify. If the call-in shows get taken down, it's because of copyrighted music. Colorado for a prime game. If I go to Colorado, it won't be to see a Colorado game. Well, and you got to remember, any traveling I do has to take place between the months of February and July. So I wouldn't be seeing any football games on any of the traveling that I do, because I don't leave the house during the football season. I mean, I do, but I don't travel during the football season. I'm definitely going to Oklahoma versus Georgia. Be a big home game for Georgia. That Oklahoma game. Big home game for Georgia. I'm probably not going to another Georgia game until or unless they host a playoff game. And I don't even know for certain that I would go to that, but I would strongly consider it. Anything short of that, though, I'm not going. I'm not going to any more Georgia regular season games, at least not for the foreseeable future. Denver is okay. Lots of homeless. Well, there's lots of homeless in every big city. If Georgia beats Oklahoma, Kirby will have beaten every SEC team. Go to UJ in Florida with Octavian? No. I'm never going to another Georgia-Florida game unless it's played in Athens. So I'm never going to another one. I'm boycotting neutral site games. Never been to Texas, no. I drove into Texas one time and turned around immediately just so I could say I had been in Texas, but really I've never been to Texas. I was in Shreveport. What's the biggest city in West Louisiana near the Texas border? Is that Shreveport or what is it? Is it Shreveport? Anyway, I was staying in New Orleans, and we were in New Orleans for a week. But while we were in New Orleans for that week, we went to a concert in, I think, Shreveport. It was all the way western Louisiana. We rented a car in New Orleans and drove to wherever this city was in western Louisiana. I think it was Shreveport, to see a concert. And on the way there, on the interstate, on the way there, right when we were getting off for Shreveport, there were signs that said like Texas 5 miles ahead or whatever it was. So I stayed on the interstate, drove into Texas, got off at the first exit, turned around, went back the other way on the interstate to Shreveport or whatever city it was, just to say that I had been in Texas. But that's literally the only time I've ever been there. What if you did your show from a tailgate? I'm not sure what you're asking. What would happen, or what? In order to do my show from a tailgate, I'd have to be at the game, and I don't go to games. I work on Saturdays from here, so I can watch. I'd rather watch 15 games on TV than see one game in person. No, it wasn't Lake Charles. Maybe it was Shreveport. This was 20 years ago. That's why I can't remember. Let me see. Map of Louisiana. It was Shreveport. Yeah, it was Shreveport. I'm looking at it on the map now. It was Shreveport. Thank you, Hexus, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Appreciate you helping to support the channel, my man. That means a lot. Good to see you in here. Have you heard about North Dakota State joining the Mountain West? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. They're ineligible for the postseason for a couple of years, though. Everybody is when they make the move. Remember, James Madison was ineligible for the postseason for the first year or two, whatever it was. They ended up filing an appeal with the NCAA or something to play in a bowl a couple of years ago or whatever. But whenever you make the move from FCS to FBS, there's like a year or a 2-year wait or something before you're eligible for the postseason. But yeah, they're in the Mountain West. I'm not sure why they do that. I'm not sure why that's a thing. I don't know. What do a pizza delivery man and a gynecologist have in common? They both get close enough to smell the goods, but if they eat it, they'll be in trouble. Yeah, you can't be doing that as a gynecologist. I think a gynecologist's got to be the worst job. It's got to be the worst job. What's up, Gil? Good to see you in here, buddy. A plumber is the worst job? I don't know. I would rather be a plumber than a gynecologist. Thanks for a decade of entertainment, Lou. Thanks for watching, my man. You're the reason I do it. Being Nate's handler sounds terrible, too. Yeah, that's a bad job, too. That's a bad job. Being Nate's handler is a bad job. You know why? Because he's ungrateful. He doesn't mean to be. I don't think I don't even think he realizes it. He doesn't mean to be, but he's ungrateful as shit. Willing to bet gynos see more grannies than anything else put together. High top sports fans are getting butthurt because I tell facts about the Florida Gators. It's dog shit. I saw him on Crane and Company. I got to give him credit, man. That guy at High Top Sports. Was it Sheldon? Is that his name? Or Shelton or Sheldon? And I like him. if I didn't like him, I wouldn't go on his show all the time. I like the guy. And he's a hard worker too, and I appreciate that. You know, I can appreciate that. He puts the effort in, and it's paid off for him. So he deserves all the success and everything that he has. But I don't see how he does it. He is the most optimistic about everything all the time person that I've ever seen. I mean, when it comes to his football team. You know, people throw these words around like sunshine pumper or homer, or like for Georgia fans, they call it Disney dogs. Just these people that think like, you know, the glass is always half full. Everything is great. Everything is perfect. And even in the face of incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, you know, Florida's been an absolute disaster for half a decade. This guy gets up every single day, goes on YouTube, goes on Twitter, goes on wherever else, and just talks about Florida like they are the greatest thing. And the reality is, fans like to hear that. So I'm not even blaming him, but man, his ability to remain optimistic about Florida all the time is marvelous. Yeah, I like Shelton a lot. I like all those guys over there on that High Top Sports channel. Like they always treat me the right way. You know, they always treat me good. You know, I don't have an issue with those guys at all. I like him a lot. I'm not talking bad about him. But man, he is like everything is always, the sun is always rising at High Top Sports. No, it doesn't affect the outcome. If it did, Florida would be working on their 5th or 6th undefeated season in a row. Florida State is in poverty worse than West Virginia. Florida State's down bad. Yeah. And it's hard for Florida State fans to even find reason for optimism now, with Norvell coming back and the roster getting turned over for the 6th year in a row and no clear plan or direction for the future of the program. It's in bad shape. This is the worst. Forget the team. Like any college football program can field a bad team in any random year. So forget that. But this is the worst I have seen Florida State as a program the entire time I've been watching college football, and I started watching in the mid-'80s. I've never seen Florida State in as bad a shape as a program as they are right now. Never. Not even close. They are so worse. They are so much more worse off right now than they were under Willie Taggart. It's staggering. I thought Willie Taggart was the absolute bottom of the barrel for Florida State. Boy, was I wrong. They are in way worse shape right now than they ever were when Willie Taggart was there. Like, I don't even think we'll have to pay attention this offseason to what Josh Pate says about Florida State. I don't even know if Josh Pate can spin any Florida State segment in a positive direction. I'll be curious to see how Josh Pate talks about Florida State this offseason, because, you know, he always tries, if he can, to put the rosiest shine on whatever turd he's talking about. But I don't even know if Josh Pate can find a way to spin Florida State segments in a positive direction. I text my mom about LouTube during the season. Thanks for the family fun, guys. One of a kind community. It is one of a kind. It is one of a kind. It's not for everybody, and I understand that. I wish it was for I wish more people sort of could accept this type of college football banter or whatever you want to call it. But, you know, one of the most important things you can do, in my opinion, and I'm no expert on YouTube. I'm no expert, but I've been doing it for 10 years and I've made a living out of it. So, you know, I know more than nothing. But the best thing you can do on YouTube, no matter what type of channel you have, is to just be yourself and hope that enough people will enjoy that for you to be able to continue to do it. But if you try to be fake, if you try to be somebody you're not, if you whatever, like, people can see through that real quick. You know, in the very beginning of this channel, the first 3 or 4 years, people would ask me all the time, make Falcons videos, make Georgia basketball videos, do this, do that. And I would do it because I thought, oh, people wanted me to do Falcons video. I'll do Falcons videos. I don't give a fuck about the Falcons. And when I would do Falcons videos, it came across that way. I don't have the same passion or energy for the NFL or the Falcons or anybody that I do for Georgia Bulldogs football. Same thing with Georgia basketball. I've made a handful of basketball videos over the years. I know nothing about basketball. Never played it. Don't know anything about it. Not interested in it. I don't know the history of it. I don't watch Georgia basketball games on TV. I can't name 2 players on Georgia's team. I don't even know who their coach is. But, you have to make Georgia basketball videos. Oh, okay. But then I do it, and it's not the same. It doesn't come across the same because I don't care about those things the way I care about college football. It's not an opinion that Florida State doesn't have money. They're more in debt than any other athletic department in the country. That's according to Florida State. They're $440 million in debt. No, that's no one's opinion. No one's making that up. They're $440 million in debt. They don't even have enough money to pay their coach's buyout. How'd they get in debt other than suing? Stadium renovations was a big part of it. Non-UGA fans root for the Dogs for Lou. Facts. I'm going to have to disagree with you there. People love it when Georgia loses, not because they hate Georgia, but because they hate me. So people want to see Georgia lose because they want to see me lose. The Mike Norvell contract is one of the reasons. Yeah. I mean, the only reason Mike Norvell is the head coach at Florida State today is because Florida State can't afford a $50 million buyout because they're $430 million in debt. I mean, no one's making this up. I mean, Florida State's a public institution. They put these numbers out themselves. It's like a month ago. I can't believe there was a Florida State fan in the comment section saying, no, we have Mike Norvell because we want him and we think he's a good coach. No. I mean, that's worse. That would be worse if that were true. Florida State's athletic department reported $437 million in debt in fiscal year 2025, largely driven by major stadium renovations and athletic facility upgrades. The debt, which increased significantly from the previous year, highlights the high costs associated with maintaining a competitive top-tier collegiate program. Problem is, they're not competitive top-tier collegiate program. Florida State became college sports debt king in fiscal year 25. Dang. Hate to hear that. Since this story was published, Penn State released its FY25 disclosures, and they are 534. Oh, so Florida State's now in second place. Florida State's now only the second most in debt program. Florida State closed fiscal year 2025 with $437 million in athletics-related debt, a $200 million increase from the previous year, and a higher total than any public FBS program reported in FY24. The figure likely placed the Seminoles atop the list of most heavily leveraged athletic departments in the country. In a phone interview, Josh Turner, FSU's Deputy Athletics Director and Chief Finance Officer, said the increase stems primarily from revenue bonds issued to fund renovations for Doak Campbell Stadium and the construction of a new football operations center, as well as debt service associated with earlier projects backed by FSU's athletic booster organizations. Florida State reported $617 million in institutional debt for FY25. With athletics accounting for 71% of that total. For comparison, the school's athletics-related debt stood at $17 million in 2020, increasing by 2,465% over the next 5 years. Athletic spending at Florida State has also surged. Expenditures rose 22% from 24 to 25, reaching $208.2 million, a period that coincided with the university suing the Atlantic Coast Conference in the hopes of joining a more lucrative league. Roughly 16% of his expenditures were covered by campus subsidies, $33.9 million in direct institutional support, and an additional $8.6 million via student fees. This kind of funding is atypical for FSU. In FY24, the school reported just $107,000 in direct institutional funds going to athletics. Turner, the associate athletic director, told Sportico that the institutional funding was used to support Title IX initiatives, athlete-related expenses, and legal fees tied to ACC litigation. Oh, shit. Yeah, part of the reason we're in so much debt is because we wasted all that money trying to sue the ACC. We're still in the ACC. In June, FSU became the first school to take advantage of a new state law enabling schools in Florida to shift funds from other campus sources to athletics to cover athlete-related revenue share payments. Florida State's overall increase in spending came at an inflection point for the school, the first known to have seriously engaged in talks about taking on institutional capital money to fund athletics. This is private equity they're talking about. Those discussions ultimately fizzled by late 2023. Around the same time, FSU sued the ACC in Florida State Court, accusing its league of having grossly mishandled the 20-year broadcast deal it struck with ESPN. FSU also claimed the ACC's grant of rights agreement disproportionately disadvantaged its most valuable members, including the Seminoles, and that the ACC imposed unreasonably punitive exit fees. Oh, shit. Kirby has to do better than the first round in the playoffs this year. He's never lost in the first round of the playoffs. Ever. Not in the 4 team and not in the 12 team. He's undefeated in the first round of the playoffs. FSU spent $4.5 million in legal fees. Yeah, right. That's why the associate athletic director specifically cited legal fees in an interview about how much debt they're in, because they only spent pennies. I know how much money they spent on Mike Norvell's buyout. 0. Because they couldn't afford it. There's going to be as many sponsors on the FSU jersey as a NASCAR driver. We probably are coming to that soon in college football for everybody. Soccer jerseys are like that. If you ever watch soccer, soccer jerseys look like a wearable billboard. Is LSU the only team that is 0-5 against Nebraska in football? I have no idea. I would have to look up Nebraska's record against every team on the planet to find that out. And I'm not going to do that. You could do that, though. You go do that, Nate, and then come back and let us know. The amount in legal fees is public records, 4.5 million. That's, well, whatever. I mean, it's your associate athletic director is the one that cited legal fees when asked why the university was $440 million in debt. He cited stadium construction, rev share payments, and legal fees associated with suing the ACC and ESPN and Kirk Herbstreit and Disney and the playoff committee and whatever else y'all sued. Just so you could still be in the ACC for another 5-6 years. I miss your nephew, Stetson Bennett. I don't miss Stetson Bennett. should sue Norvell. Yeah, they should sue Mike Norvell for imitating a football coach or attempting to. Could FSU go bankrupt? I don't know anything about bankruptcy laws. So has a state institution ever filed bankruptcy? I don't even know if that's possible. So I have no idea. Most angry moment? I don't know. There's been a lot of them. There's been a lot of them. Terrence Edwards dropping that pass against Florida in 2002 still makes me fucking angry. Cost Georgia a shot at a natty. Colleges print money. None of them are broke. Boy, that's the biggest lie you ever told. For example, Florida State's $440 million in debt. They're broke. And right now, they're busy sending you an email asking you to donate $100 a month for the next 12 months because they need new bathrooms or whatever. Every school in the country does it. Colleges are like the federal government. It doesn't matter how much money they make or how much money you give them. They're going to spend more. If you spend more money than you make, you're broke. The federal government is broke. Every college is broke, or every athletic department. I wonder if we'll get a salary cap like the NFL for college. Not until you make the players employees, you won't. It's illegal. You have to make the players employees, let them unionize, then you can collectively bargain. And you can collectively bargain for things that otherwise would be illegal, like salary caps or limits on transfers or limits on eligibility, number of years you're eligible. All of those things would become collectively bargained. Annual budget is a construct. Not for me and you, it's not. All right, y'all. I got to pee, so I might as well end the show. It's late anyway, ain't it? Time is it? Yeah, it's after 12. And we got to drive tomorrow. So I'm going to get out of here. I think we're leaving a little after lunchtime, probably around 1 or 2. I hope we're out of here by 2. The lady's got some work she's got to do in the morning, but hopefully we can get out of here by around lunchtime, get up there around 4 or 5 o'clock. What college football coaches are likely in the Epstein files? Lane, Belichick, any others? I'm not even gonna know. Well, I mean, Belichick is suspect. Robert Kraft might be in there. I don't know. I don't think any of them are in there. You can search their names, though, if you're curious. You can pull up the Epstein files and do a name search if you're curious. I'm not in there. That's for sure. I'm not in there. All right. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me tonight. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. I know I did. We'll be back Tuesday night. We'll do it again. Monday night, the Lunch Money Show, 9 o'clock. Particularly if you're interested in the Slob Olympics, make sure you tune into the Lunch Money Show on Monday night at 9 p.m. It's going to be me and Pigskin Pete, all Slob Olympics talk. So we'll start to figure out the events we're going to do, all those kinds of things. Tune in for that Monday night at 9. Call-in show next Tuesday at 9. Most likely won't be any live streams this weekend because I'll be out of town, although I may pop up randomly with a quick live stream. It would be from my cell phone if I did it. So we'll see if I can find a way to fit that in. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoy your weekend. Make sure you watch some Olympics this weekend. Team USA men's hockey team plays again on Saturday. Make sure you watch it. Comes on at 3 o'clock. America. Make sure you watch it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Have a good morning.